Welcome to the Saturday Night Snake Talk. We have my buddy Chris in the house. I'm excited about this. Chris is a reptile guy. But the thing we're going to talk some about, at least, maybe a lot about, don't know what's going to happen yet, is you work for the airline, or now you work for the airport.
Yeah, that is correct. I work for a third-party company that is contracted to run and operate the North Terminal at the Detroit Metro Airport.
Yeah, that's it's crazy. So, and Detroit, of course, is the big international airport there. So I can only imagine the stories, and we'll get into that. And so we'll talk reptiles. We'll talk about travel. We'll talk about what it's like to run an airline or airport, and all the drama that must go into that. So I have some friends that are like air traffic controllers. My buddy Jason from Morph Mixology, who will probably be in the house tonight. He's an air traffic controller. There's another snake breeder up in Montana that's air traffic controller as well. So there's all that type of stuff. But yeah, as always, you guys hit us up with super chats. You can ask Chris anything you want. You can ask me anything you want. You guys always steer the ship for us, so we appreciate you guys so much. So jumping into it, I mean, do you keep reptiles?
Yeah, absolutely. I've kept reptiles since right around 2008, 2009.
Okay.
And that was when I was about 13, 14 years old.
Okay.
And I've kept reptiles, bred reptiles on and off throughout that time. And then now currently I keep and breed reptiles.
What's like the species you've either worked with or want to work with?
So I work obviously predominantly ball pythons, but I also work with my other big projects would be leeches. I love
leeches.
Love
nice.
leeches. And then
They're awesome, yeah.
Yeah, I've got leopard geckos, gargoyle geckos, a couple western hognose, a couple beardies, but it's all kind of slowly coming together. Hopefully,
That's awesome.
Just take it, piece it together, and grow it organically and naturally.
Yeah. So have you been? You've been into reptiles since you were younger. I mean, I know you said 2008, 2009.
Yeah. So how I got started was, like I said, I had a buddy in middle school that bred bearded dragons, and
that's cool.
Yeah, we would go and play Halo, and then we're playing video games, but I'm looking, I'm like, these bearded dragons are so cool. He's breeding, dubia roaches, and I slowly got into it, and then. Sure enough, I would spend all of our, my parents' dial-up internet, looking at pictures of leopard geckos.
Oh, yeah, sure, your pictures of leopard geckos.
That's what they're calling it these days.
Yeah. Clear the browser history.
Yeah, clear cache search.
Cookies.
But that's how I got started. And
Mom, leave me alone. I'm looking at leopard geckos.
Yeah. So kick the door shut, But that's how I started, and then slowly just grew that, and my parents were super open, super accepted of it.
Nice.
They just weren't about the snakes, and I slowly grew that, and then they eventually let me get one snake, and then once I moved out, it was kind of floodgates open.
That's right, dude.
That's amazing. Yeah, I wish I would have had, I didn't, my parent, well, my mom really, my dad wasn't around, but, wasn't supportive, didn't like me to have. But ironically enough, it was kind of interesting because it took me 15 years to talk her into letting me have my first snake. But then within 3 years, I had 200 snakes in her basement.
Yeah.
So she kind of, was like, what would happen Well, what would happen was, when I had 4 snakes, it was tough to bring in the 5th, right? Because when 4 tanks turn into 5,
you're
knows,
it, yeah.
And but once you get to 100, you can just
you just start bringing
water under the bridge.
Yeah, I mean at that point, she don't know the difference.
It's a grain of sand on the beach, man.
I've had this for 2 years, Mom.
Oh, you don't remember Carl?
That brings me to a funny story. So when my mom when I was 16, I got my first ball python. I had it, in an aquarium with a screen top. I know, heaven forbid. And
that's all right.
And
I'm not going to judge.
Yeah, and so. But he actually pushed his way out one time. And he was out for about 3-4 weeks. And my mom would always come down there and look at him, just be like, "Oh, where's he at?" And I'm like, "Guys, he's in there.
He's
hiding."
He's hiding.
And so every night, I knew it would get dark, and they'd go out and explore. And I eventually found him. He was just cruising in the basement, super fine. Everything was perfectly healthy. I still have him, actually, believe it or not. Yeah, he'll be with me forever.
Well, it's better you found him than your mom.
Oh, I made sure. And it was some sleepless nights for 16-year-old Chris. But I went after him, and I found him, and he was hanging out, just scooting across the floor.
When I used to walk. I know this makes me sound so bad. I used to walk home from school every day
in the snow.
In the snow.
Uphill both ways.
Snowing, uphill both ways.
Yeah.
But no, really, seriously, my middle school was about a mile and a half, almost 2 miles away from home.
Right.
Yeah. And I used to, I was like, people don't realize this, but I was a sports geek. I played on the football team. I was a wrestler on the track team. I was a pole vaulter, and so the problem was if I didn't get the bus after school, I'd have to walk home. Well, it just so happened that about halfway from home was the pet shop that I ultimately worked at, years later. And so I used to just stop at the pet shop every day. I'd be like halfway home. I'd stop at the pet shop, spend like an hour hanging out at the pet shop, and then walk home because my mom worked afternoons. So I didn't have a dad, so and stuff like that. So, but so one day, I remember it was $1.25. I bought a white mouse. I didn't have reptiles at the time. No reptiles.
Oh, no way.
But I fell in love with these mice at the pet shop.
They're cute.
So I bought it for $1.25, took it home in a shoebox, and kept it under my bed.
No.
Yeah, literally under my bed. And at the time, I was young. I was like, 12, 13, and I actually shared a bedroom with my brother who was a kind of a dick. And he, so one night, like the second night there, you hear this like scratch. It's like, what is that noise? I'm like, I don't know.
What could it be?
And then what was funny, it was kind of a tragic story, to be honest with you. It of course chewed out of the shoebox.
Yeah,
it's not going to live in a shoebox, right? And it chews out of a shoebox. And so my sister was taking a shower. She wasn't in the shower at the time, but she was getting ready to take a shower. And the next morning when it had chewed out, I wasn't even awake. I woke up to her screaming, and she accidentally shut the mouse in the door.
No,
and the poor mouse died.
No,
and then I had to confess that I bought a mouse because it's a white mouse. You know what I mean? It's not like couldn't say it was like
it's a snow mouse, Ma.
Dang, this whole house.
You never heard of a Michigander snow mouse?
Yeah. So
damn, that's tragic. R.I.P. to that mouse.
Yeah. Rip it.
Do you want to hit a couple supers? So
let's
get a couple of these behind the back,
man. Let's do it, man.
So we got let's see,
we had
Silver Cash in the building. He's dropping in first.
Sure, man.
He says, stuck at work again. I'll catch up after I get off. Y'all have an awesome night. I'm sick of this guy working so much.
I know, man. Stop making pizza. So he ended up, this is our friend that came into town. He was on the podcast a few weeks back, and he's a pizza maker down in Alabama.
Rat slanger.
Rat slanger and a pizza maker.
Yeah.
And so we bought a pizza oven for him to come up. He made some great pizza. And he just bought his parents just bought him a birthday present, the same pizza maker.
Isn't that cool? Because now he's gonna he's gonna be perfecting the craft.
Yeah, I was inspired actually by him to go out and buy a pizza.
No, you
oven.
didn't.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah.
Shit,
we need a deal. We need a brand deal.
That's a promo code on that one.
I was just sick of the frozen pizza and the DiGiorno, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna be a little bougie today.
Yeah.
And so I woke up and felt dangerous and got a pizza oven. So.
Oh my gosh, I've only used it the once, but actually, Silver Cash is sending us
some goodies,
some utensils so that we can cook like steaks and hamburgers and stuff like that in it as well. So that's supposed to be here sometime, anytime.
That's gonna be so
good. And then we'll hopefully use it a little more. I still haven't made the dough yet. You know?
Yep.
So I need to.
I'll come over, dude. Let's bring out some dough.
I know, man.
It's really not that hard.
I think it'll be easy, but but yeah. So, anyways, he's coming back in December.
Okay.
And spending a few days with us, and we're gonna take him to. He's never seen snow.
Isn't that crazy?
So, Chris, you are local. I mean, you've been here.
So I've kind of been all over the Midwest. So
where are you from?
I'm originally from Wisconsin, and then from there I grew up, spent 18 years, and then moved out to North Dakota for. I was out there for about 6 years, where I went to school and started my career, and then I moved to Cincinnati about a year and a half ago, and then moved up here in February.
Wow! So you're a new Michigander.
Yeah, as of February 1, that's when I came up here and did all that.
Any family in the area? You're all alone.
Pretty much made a living off of not moving where my family is and not knowing anybody, and just kind of.
Now, is that part of the deal with the airport thing, or have you always been in the airport thing, or did you?
Yeah. So.
How did you get started, and why are you interested in aviation as a kid, or?
Yeah, so like I was telling Jay before, I always just grew up in one of the few people that was lucky enough to be like, man, that's what I want to do forever. When I was 3 years old, my neighbor actually owned a helicopter.
Oh, geez.
And my
well,
dad.
That's nice.
Yeah, exactly.
What kind of neighbor
nice town. You got a nice neighborhood, huh?
You got Warren Buffett.
James Bond next door. Yeah.
Warren Buffett. Yeah.
One day, my dad was like, "Yeah, come outside and check this out." And he's like, "Look up," and this helicopter came and landed in my backyard. And I was 3, and I was like, "What?" Gosh. And he took us for a ride. And ever since then, I was like, "Man, Top Gun is my favorite movie."
Wow.
I just lived the dream.
You can't wait for the next one to come out, huh, man?
It should have been released last year.
I know, man. It's the only thing that I'm mad about COVID about.
Yeah, that's the only thing. 5 million.
It's almost destroyed my industry, but that's
but Top Gun is all I care about. Tom Cruise.
So I'm hoping for year end for that. But so ever since then, it's been that's been my passion, and I just I've just kind of moved with my career. You know, moving up, you gotta kind of explore and see what you like and see what you don't. I've never wanted to live one spot my whole life. I've just always wanted to see what I like, and if I don't like it, then on to the next.
So you're like a nomad.
Yeah, essentially.
Nomadic.
A maverick.
Ooh. Maverick. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
that's why I live at
LoganPaul.com/swap.
Yeah, LoganPaul.com/shop.
Yep.
It's so I have a love-hate relationship with aviation.
Yep.
I've flown all over the world, and more times than there's lots of places I haven't been. Obviously, the world's a big place, but I've been to a lot of places and I've done a lot of stuff, but I don't particularly like it.
Right.
I don't like flying. You said how many flights have you had in the last year?
So oddly enough, since COVID in March of 2020, I've probably flown about 150 times.
Wow. So what are you flying for?
So I fly for leisure. I fly for work, and then I fly for personal business as well.
Okay.
So
and you fly for free, probably standby.
The airport, it doesn't have anything to do with the airport. I actually have a really good friend that works for United, and I have flight benefits under him, and so kind of, and I'm very thankful for him. He's been a great friend and everything, but that really helps. But a lot of my leisure and everything is paid for out of my own pocket, and then just doing that. So
now you've flown out of the country since.
Yep.
So where have we went?
All right, I apologize. Not since COVID, but I've been to. Tokyo was really cool. I was telling Jay that's probably my favorite international spot to
the airport there is great.
Yeah, to ease into, like it's very Americanized, very like
the toilets there are crazy.
Yeah, it's just
the toilets there.
It was a shocking start.
It's a holy shit moment.
Yeah, but
what is this thing gonna do to my bottom? My undercarriage.
First time, but it's actually really nice. I mean, it's actually kind of like you're like, oh,
it probably makes more sense for us all to do that, right?
But it does matter which bathroom you go into. As far one bathroom might not have a toilet at all, just a hole in the ground. And then the other thing talks to you and massages your undercarriage.
Wait, where did you go to the bathroom? Madame Courcelle's? What's going on?
Yeah, exactly.
But Tokyo is great.
And then I've done some stuff in Europe, done some stuff in Hawaii. But pre-COVID or post-COVID, I really have a lot of ambition to go. I really want to go to Greece. I really want to go to Dubai, Australia. So I've got some big stuff planned for hopefully 2023. So
wow, you think it'll be that long, huh?
I know Australia is they're very closed doors, and they've been that way, and that's really smart. I mean, that's kind of how they've been able to
avoided the massive.
And so I really want the full experience when I go somewhere. So I don't want any restrictions, especially if I'm going to travel that far. So
I think that once you get into the country, so in Australia now there's a 14-day mandatory quarantine, and they take it serious. It's not like, hey, just go to Granny's house and go hang out. It's like you go to a hotel, they lock you in the hotel. You can't leave the room for 14 days, you know? So they're pretty serious there.
And I know a lot of, too, and I've seen this in Hawaii as well, but a lot of the locals are not wanting travelers back because of the COVID stuff. They're like,
Americans are like,
the worst.
Damn Americans bringing your virus.
Exactly.
That, I just want to be welcomed. I want the full experience. And
I would think honestly that I've been to Australia 9 times and have a lot of friends there. I think once you got there, it wouldn't be bad. I think that you'd be surprised at how open, because all my friends from Australia are like, I can't wait till you get back here. Come on, come on back. And ironically enough, I'm so bummed. A guy that I know a little bit, casually know, a guy named Kyle. He's an Olympic swimmer.
Sure.
And he's from Australia, and he won some medals in the Tokyo Olympics just a couple months back. And he was going to be here not next weekend, but the following weekend because
what happened?
So did I tell you this or no?
No, last I heard he was coming.
He was coming. So he was training in Italy, and then he had some meets or something going on in Toronto. And so he's like, dude, I've got some time. I'm just going to fly over and spend 3 days with you, do the podcast, so on like that. But sure enough, the American government, if you're in Canada and been to Europe in the last 14 days, you're not allowed to come into the country without quarantine.
What?
Yeah. So he's like, I can't come in.
Yeah.
He said I'd have to quarantine, And so I didn't know that because I know Canadians can fly here. With you just have to have a COVID test. But apparently, if you've been to Europe then Canada, you can't come in.
Wow. Wow.
So he's totally bummed. He's totally bummed, and I'm totally bummed because he's obviously I've never had an Olympic medalist
that's a big one.
in the place. That would be cool. Not to mention he's got a really cool collection of reptiles, which is it's something I wanted to really talk to him about too.
That's awesome.
So,
yeah, hopefully he gets out here.
Yeah,
relatively soon. That'd be great.
Hopefully sometime. But like you said, hopefully. I hope it's not 2023. I'm hoping
that's only for Australia because like I said, and that's good to hear that. But like I said, I know Australia, they're very strict, closed doors. Everywhere else though is really starting to kind of open back up. Yeah. And Europe just came out and said that I think it's November 1st that you can go and travel between the U.S. and Europe with no restrictions as long as you're vaccinated, and that's good to hear. And that's big for passenger travel and volume because that's pretty much the last thing that hasn't recovered is
the international and business probably.
Yep, and business has started to come back. The good thing though is, since the airlines, European carriers have said that basically in this holiday season they're seeing pre-crisis level of passenger bookings, which is good. And that's in the front of the plane with business and in the back of the plane.
Okay,
so,
that's awesome.
So that's good to see. That's good for. I
wonder how that front of the plane feels, man. Yeah. Actually, to be honest, I'm a flying snob. I'm not going to lie to you.
I am too.
I won't fly. I can't. And I know this is going to sound so bougie, man. Yeah, but I can't fly coach, man. I can't. Now I will tell you, I do fly coach, or at least preferred. If I can get it.
Yep.
When I go like to Australia or something like that, because the difference is literally like $1,500 for a flight to Australia, maybe $2,000 for like preferred seating if they have it. But it's like $12,000 for Delta One, let's say.
Oh yeah.
And I just can't justify spending $10,000 for
extra.
Even though, hey, listen, that flight, I've told people, like I've looked, I'm not kidding you, Chris. I've looked because I've sat like in the exit row just before first class.
Yep.
And I've looked in there. I've wanted to take my silverware and stab someone in the face.
Yeah, they're like, get you, bro.
They're like laying there, and I've been up for 23 hours. They're laying there just like sleeping, cuddly, and I'm like, if I just put this fork in their eye, if I just put the fork right in their eye, maybe they'll get out.
And then I could take their seat.
I would not do that. I'm just joking, obviously, but I do look at them with disdain.
Yeah, it is funny.
So good.
Good YouTube video idea for you is if you do go and travel international,
stab someone with a fork.
You'll get arrested very quickly, and you'll have to call me. Do a video if you ever do it. A YouTube video. I mean, obviously Casey Neistat, his biggest videos was on like Emirates and all those, and people they flock to him because that's obviously. I mean, the 0.001% get a chance to fly it.
I follow. Was it Sam Chu? Do you follow him?
Yep, Sam Chu. Yep.
Yeah, he's great.
He's got some great experiences, and he's a great guy.
Casey's the one where he took the shower and thing.
Yep.
That was like he had 60 million views or something.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And
smartest move by Emirates to ever give him that seat.
Oh yeah,
and a lot of those, that's what they are. They're paid, advertisements, and you can give an honest opinion. But I mean, for what you get, I mean, are you going to really knock on some of that?
I know and I don't know, how to go about it, but I know that that's always like as an influencer, that's like. The thing that everyone shoots for is to get like free travel from the airlines, and I hear it's not that easy.
Yeah, very tough. But the one thing is the airlines, they do pay attention. There's a lot of travel vloggers that literally all they do is just review first.
Yeah, the travel vloggers are different. Like a snake guy is like a little different. They're like, you're not going to bring snakes on the plane.
right.
And
even though you'd be surprised what could be at the bottom of your airplane in that cargo
I know.
hold.
Listen, I'll tell you a story really quick. A friend of mine in Virginia had a shipment that was coming up from Florida of a bunch of import stuff, and one of the things was 150 tarantulas, and literally they loaded it in there. They found a tarantula out of the box, and they had to evacuate the entire plane.
Right,
literally ground the plane. And come in and fumigate the entire plane. So the people that were flying, the flight was canceled, and they had to get onto other flights just because there was a tarantula that was out.
Some bug guy.
So I mean, between probably bodies and tarantulas, and you never know. I know that I've heard like even during COVID when travel was really down, the cargo was keeping the airlines alive, right?
And that's what it was. Is you saw basically passenger planes that were flying with nobody on them, they were just strictly cargo, and that's why you see like these insane delays with FedEx and UPS and the USPS is they're so over, they have such a demand increase because there was a big portion of airlines that were carrying cargo that weren't at that time, and obviously the demand with e-commerce and everything like that is just, it's crazy, and that's kind of come down to the downside of working with reptiles has been the FedEx shipping. it's an upward battle, and you got to work with what you get. You got to ship smartly, and then even if you do, it's
well, we pack to expect them to take 2 or 3 days.
Yep.
So we put cryo packs in everything that we ship.
Yep.
And Beth, our office help, which is amazing. I bet you she number one, I guarantee you, our FedEx people hate her to death. Because she literally probably spends 2 hours a day yelling at them. Because they lose stuff constantly.
Right.
And the thing that I think is the most infuriating for us is that we pay for priority overnight, meaning they're supposed to be there by 10:30, but FedEx stopped guaranteeing it by 10:30. So now we pay the price for 10:30, but it might not be there till 1 or 2, and there's nothing we can do about it because they're like, oh no, we stopped that.
Yeah, and it kind of comes with that double-edged sword. You can't really take out your anger too much because they're the only people right now doing it.
Yeah, because if they say, okay, no, we won't ship with you anymore, then you're done.
Yeah, and so that's kind of like the sword. But I can tell you the FedEx people at the ship center near the Detroit airport have always been really great to me. They're always super curious. They're like, yeah, next time if you have that box, can we see what's in it? And it's just kind of cool to, spread that, that passion and that love. And they're like, oh, that's cool. We'll make sure, it takes good care of it.
FedEx has always been great to us about that, the service as far as that goes. It's just they've really dropped the ball.
Logistic-wise.
When you got a live animal, you can't accidentally lose it. I know MJ just the other day, I saw he had like a $15,000 snake he bought or something like that, and it was literally lost. Like he's on day 3. And they don't know where it's at.
That's tough.
I don't know how it ended up what the end result was, but
damn, that's crazy.
So want to hit a couple more supers?
Yeah, let's hit it. Rare Dog says, strolling through Colorado with my empty Corona bottles, waiting for you to join me. Best part of the day. Live with you.
That's awesome, man. I love it. We got to get to Colorado so bad.
You've
been to Colorado?
Beautiful area.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where you need to get stationed next.
Yeah, I've it's on my short list, but Denver, Colorado Springs, those are beautiful areas. Just expensive to live in, but beautiful. Beautiful.
They are beautiful. There's no doubt about it.
Nope Rope Exotic said, "What's up, fellas? Much love from Boston. Hope to be heading there soon."
Cool, man. Love Boston, man. The Boston.
What's up, Boston? And then he, I think he actually came back and says, "Oh yeah," he said the same thing. "What's up, fellas? Much love from Boston."
Thank you, man. We appreciate you, Bostoner.
Ooh, another one from
Bostonian.
His Bostonian says, hopefully coming on or down in a few months for the podcast. Talking to you has been a pleasure, Brian. Also, Chris, have any horror stories?
Yeah, let's hear them, man.
Oof.
You got to have a ton of stuff at the airport, man.
Yeah, so I've got personal horror stories from traveling and then at the airport. The personal stories is just, lately people that, try to make almost a statement when they're flying. You have to wear a mask when you fly, and to basically be selfish enough to delay an entire flight like 4 hours and people miss connections just because of whatever
just
reason.
Argue like I'm not doing it
to the point where you have to get an air marshal or a police officer. There's that's. the
rules. I don't like the rules. I don't either. But you know them when you book the flight. You got to abide by the rules.
It's not the place to do it, and I can tell you it's a very expensive fine on top of jail time, and they've really cracked down on it. But
I've heard that the incidence of abuse that flight attendants are taking it's like 1,800% higher. Or something like that.
I could imagine.
The FAA posted something in March where they said that they'd had as many disturbances in the airplane at that point in March as they did in all of 2019, which was the peak travel year of all time.
Wow.
Which is unfortunate because they're just doing their job and they do a very good job and they just want everybody to be safe and that's the big thing.
So as a manager of a terminal, tell me what that means. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, so basically you're overseeing the big thing is day to day. So you're making sure everything goes off without hitch for the airline. So making sure your jet bridges are working, making sure your baggage handling system works, safely, securely. You're getting stuff from point A to point B. If airlines have any grievances, you got to help them out, but you're also balancing a budget, with your, what you're doing. So the biggest thing is maintenance, safety, and then day-to-day operations, making sure everything goes on. So
that's the thing. I think air travel is super safe. You know what I mean?
Big time.
And so I never really am concerned when I fly. I hate turbulence.
Yeah.
That's what I That's my thing. I hate fucking turbulence.
And I love it. I just
love it.
Oh yeah, especially when I'm flying because
well, that's the time you usually get it.
Yeah.
It's not when you're taking a dookie.
Yeah. But
what kind of stuff
you eating for dinner, man?
Yeah, just flying down the bumpiest roads, But
Michigan roads can be a little turbulent.
Terrible.
That's
But
turbulent.
I just love it. If I'm sitting in coach, you're sitting back there. It's like riding in the back of a roller coaster sometimes. But if you're in the front and you've got a drink or two in you, you're like, this is kind of cool. It breaks up. It breaks up just sitting.
Not for me.
I love his
and I know
mentality, dude.
And I know a lot of people. It's very scary and very terrifying. It's just basically rough wind hitting the aircraft, and obviously you're in a flying tube, very high up, going very fast. So it's very common, but it's something I totally understand the fear of.
Yeah. Well, it's not that I've told this story a million times, so I'm sure people that listen have heard it. Is that I'm not worried about crashing. Turbulence. I'm not worried. Listen, I've had a lot of bad flights. I mean, I'm gold. Status on, which is nice. I'm still gold status, even though I've hardly flown at all. But they rolled me over since COVID, so it's nice to have that. But so I've flown a lot, but I've had some pretty bad flights, man. And I had one. It was kind of interesting. I had a flight coming into LA. Yeah. And typically LA is great to go into. Going over the Rockies can be a little bit bumpy, but going into LA, you're usually pretty good weather. You know what I mean? And I had seen before I left that there were some storms, but it's a 5-hour flight. I'm thinking, the storms will be gone by whatever. So we got to over the Rockies, just over the Rockies. And the pilot came on. He said, "Hey, we're going to do a little holding pattern here. We're about 45 minutes out of LA." He goes, "We're going to do a little holding pattern." He said because there's some plane ran off the runway, and he said kind of some bad weather over there. And I'm like, "Wow, that's kind of crazy." Okay,
that's crazy.
So and I hate circling too.
I do too.
There's been several flights I've had where they've circled for like a half hour. So you're always banking. That's kind of an uncomfortable feeling, and you're like, when is this ever going to end? And they're circling because there's something wrong. It's like,
it's never a good thing.
Yeah, it's never a good thing. So, anyways, point is, I didn't think much of the. I thought, okay, guy ran off the runway, we should be good. I'm telling you what, how like when you're going in through a storm going in, it's usually like 5 minutes of bad clouds before you get below the clouds. I am not kidding you. For 40 minutes, it was the most turbulent descent I've ever seen. To the point, and it was funny because I was in first class. And there was a guy sitting next to me. I hadn't said, and I will talk to people on a plane, or I won't talk to people on a plane. It depends on who's next to me. If someone's chatty, I'll chat all day. I like to talk. But if someone's not chatty, then I don't say it. I'm not going to bug somebody, right? And so I'm just watching movies and stuff like that. So I'm literally, I'm not. The plane was making noises I've never heard before. Right. I mean,
bending metal noises,
like literally, like wind going through the wings that I'd never heard. It was crazy turbulent for 45 minutes. Like going down, like going through clouds.
Right.
For 45 minutes. And so we finally land, and it was funny. The guy next to me, he tells me he's like, he looks over and goes, "Oh my gosh." And he was an elderly guy, and he goes, "Oh my gosh," he goes, "that was rough." He goes, "I'm a doctor," and he goes, "and I'm not a real religious guy." He goes, "But I'm going to be honest with you, I was praying the last half hour of this trip."
That's funny.
And I was like, "Well, you should have told me before that. We could have talked our way through it. Instead of just sitting there in silence. But yeah, we've had some turbulent stuff.
Yeah, I've only had one really scary flight, really, and it wasn't even that bad. It was just the end of a long day. The most flight legs that I've taken in a day was 6.
Wow.
6 legs. And it was actually when I moved up here. And so my last flight of the day was out of Dallas, which is known for thunderstorms. And
Sure.
And it was the last flight of the day. It was 11 o'clock at night. Our flight was already delayed out. And thunderstorms were rolling in there, and they held us on the ramp for an hour. Wow. And I'm like, man, if we just get stuck here for me to go to a hotel after the day I've had, I'm gonna be a little depressed. And so we actually took off, and we got out. And when after you take off, the engines usually spoil down fairly quickly after takeoff.
Sure.
And
that's a term I've got to remember. Spoiled down. When I'm talking to the captain next time, I'm like, "How long are we going to be spoiled? Always spoiled down?"
He'll look at you like, "You want to fly the plane, man?"
Yeah, I have my I know like Frank Abigail.
The best compliment you can give a pilot is great landing. That was a great landing. I didn't even feel it, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's awesome."
That's
That's like that totally is like a rite of passage.
Yeah.
Before you get to your thing, I've told this story before. My favorite pilot ever was like it must have been a stand-up comedian, because I was again in first class. Not that I'm bougie, but I'm just stubborn. But so this pilot comes onto the thing, and before we take off, he does like this joke, a bunch of jokes.
Love it.
Like he just and it was hilarious.
Yeah,
It was hilarious. But the one thing he said, I've been flying for 28 years or whatever. He goes, and the thing I'm the most proud of is I've had the same amount of landings as I had takeoffs.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's a great joke, man.
Yeah, and that's great. Yeah, a lot of times they do it just to calm the nerves. You get a lot of people that are nervous to fly. But so we took off and we went right through this thunderstorm, and it was just the most violent. No
spoiling down of the engine.
No, they actually spoiled back up like right after. And it was a good half hour before we got above the clouds, got above the storm.
Wow.
And the first officer came on and he was like, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really sorry." He's like, "If we would have gotten better, information, we would not have taken off in that." But he's like, "Oh, we're good now." So
we're good now.
Sit back and have a drink on us, and thanks for flying.
You know what I hate? I hate when let's say a couple super shits because we're gonna get behind here.
Yeah. Max says, "Just for love, we appreciate
Mac,
you,
Mac. What's going on, brother?"
Your boy Cecil Beck Reptiles says, "Wish I liked flying, but I have to drive."
Yeah, Matt is. By the way, Matt might be coming on
stuff.
this month as well to the podcast, and but yeah, me and him have talked about it. I mean, he's only really hardly ever flies. Yeah. I hate flying, but I will fly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the thing is I didn't always hate flying. Mm-hmm. I used to like flying. I was kind of a little like you. Turbulence was fun until I had a really bad experience coming back from Australia, and it kind of ruined me. It was like PTSD for Turbulence.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I'm gonna say hi to Matt from Sasselbeck. Big fan of his.
Yeah.
I listened.
Don't blow his head up that much.
Yeah, he's not gonna fit in the basement.
His ego's already fucking.
You saw how low these ceilings are. He ain't gonna fit in here with a big head.
I started in Leopard Geckos, and I followed him for a long time, and then I just listened to his 6-part series.
Yeah, I remember he did that. Yep.
Yeah, and it was crazy, but a great information, great guy that talked about starting up and then going down and all. So, but
no, he's a good friend of mine. I mean, we talk often.
Great.
So he's awesome. So it'd be great to have him on. And I think actually he said he wanted us to go to his girl's coming up. I think his girlfriend lives in Florida. She's flying up and then they're driving over, and he wants us to go to Columbus and Cincinnati Zoo with them.
Yes, let's do it.
So
that's
awesome. I've been there before. I've been able
great.
to do a tour with them, Peace, Harambe.
Peace on him.
Yeah.
Rip Harambe.
Yeah, that's where I came from before Detroit was Cincinnati.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
spent a couple days at the zoo over there.
Oh, I did. Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
It's an interesting zoo because it's in a residential area.
Yep.
So it's very interesting where it's located. It's not like a normal zoo that's kind of off the beaten path or something. It's but I enjoyed it. They let me get in with their red kangaroos and stuff like that, and play with them. And then they by the way, they had an armadillo. It was a three-banded armadillo they let me mess with. Got a chance to not get in with the pachyderms with the elephants, but spend some time with the keepers that worked with them because they have hands-off policy because of AZA.
Sure.
But yeah, it was a cool zoo. They did really nice. Gave a nice.
I've heard nothing but good things about Cincinnati Zoo.
They kill it on social media too. I mean, they're
well, I actually went there shortly after Harambe got killed.
Yeah.
So their team was like, just want to let you know, you're probably going to get a lot of hate. You're probably going to get 1,000 Rip Harambes every time you post something about it. And it did happen. I mean, it was people were just all over it, man.
Yeah, and I was in college when that happened, so obviously, you have the dicks out for Harambe type of thing,
Oh yeah!
And
oh my gosh!
I don't. Yeah, Whoa! That was a big thing.
That must have just been in Cincinnati,
dude.
No, this was when I was. Yeah, no.
Dude.
Somebody will know what I'm talking about.
I've still been doing that.
But when I moved to Cincinnati, I totally forgot it until I saw somebody wearing a Harambe shirt, and I'm like, oh no, this is where it was at.
For those of you guys that don't know the Harambe story, this is Harambe was the great the silverback ape that. Basically, the kid fell into the enclosure, and he grabbed the kid, and they had to shoot him dead. Listen, it was probably the only thing they could do.
Oh no, it is. Once the kid's in there, that's what they had to do.
It's one of those things you don't want to let go into hindsight.
Because that gorilla in a split second could have killed that kid.
Would rip him in half.
Now I don't think that what was did you ever see the footage, Jay?
Yeah.
So like the hard part was when he grabbed the kid by the foot and drug him.
Yeah.
But he was just trying to save the kid.
Right.
You know?
He was
protecting the kid.
Yeah, it didn't look hostile at all.
No, but unfortunately you get this baby's head bouncing off the ground and it doesn't look very good.
It sounds funnier than
I think the parents maybe should have been shot.
Yes, I agree.
Not touching that one.
I will touch it. I'll touch it.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, you
Eye
let
for an eye.
your 2-year-old climb into a gorilla's cage.
Not
You
smart.
probably aren't the best parent.
Or at least castrated. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. No more kids for you.
Tiffany said, "I'm so ready for my baby counting down the days."
Yes, exactly. I think,
when are we doing that? Because I want to.
So her friend is getting a pied from us.
Oh, okay. You're gonna ship it out together.
Yeah. So when the pied is paid for, then we're shipping.
Awesome.
Tiffany's Faith out.
Sweet. Little Bogus says, just bought the female black and white king snake. She'll be here Wednesday. Can't wait to meet her.
Awesome.
Oh,
cool.
what a nice buy.
That is awesome. They're such good animals. Black and white cow king. Have you worked with king snakes ever?
I have. I've been bitten by them many times. But they are very cool. I mean, they're
cool,
just food responses on.
They are food for they like to sometimes pee on you and stuff like that too.
The colubrid fun, you know.
Yeah. So out of all your flights, that's the only flight that you said was bad, huh?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the most memorable one, and the only other one that I had actually was really weird. I actually had an anxiety attack on an airplane.
I did too once, yeah.
And that really traumatized me.
That's hard.
To just a weird point to where I had like weird superstitions. There was nothing that really triggered it. It was I was sitting in the middle seat, so I felt kind of trapped in there, and then literally it was just like that.
Same thing happened to me in.
And it was the worst 3 hours of my life.
Oh, so it lasted the whole time.
The whole time until I got off the airplane, and then I was like relieved.
For me, I was lucky. Jay was with me.
Yep.
And we were flying back from Utah.
Yeah.
And what happened for me? It didn't happen when I was on the plane. I was sitting.
In the terminal.
And I started feeling a little weird.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell's going on? But we literally had driven through a treacherous mountain.
It was
range,
scary, yeah.
And we didn't get
got no sleep.
Yeah,
almost.
we got to the hotel like 2 a.m. We had to be at the airport like 5:30. So we literally got like 2 hours of sleep. So I'm thinking like, okay, maybe I'm just feel foggy because I'm tired, whatever the case. I didn't think much of it. Dude, I sat down and we were on the tarmac. I sat down and panic attack hit me.
Yep.
And I was like, lost it. I mean, like I literally had a bottle of water, and I don't know if you ever had mini panic attacks. I actually, honestly, as much as I'm have anxiety, I haven't had many panic attacks.
Very few and far between.
Yeah.
But that was the worst one that I've ever had.
But I remember having a water bottle because my throat was completely dry because of the panic attack, and I couldn't figure out how to open the bottle.
Yep.
That's how panicked I was.
Yep.
I couldn't figure out how to get the cap off,
Yep.
and I had to hand it to Lori, but thankfully mine only lasted about 20, 25 minutes. Once I was like committed to coming home. I wasn't going to get off the plane, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I just got to deal with it. And Lori was right next to me, so if I was alone, I may have gotten off the plane.
Yeah, and mine happened after I was on the plane. I just remember taxiing out for takeoff, and I just was like, whoa. Yeah. And then it was just almost like you blacked out. I mean, it was probably the worst experience. I didn't travel. I didn't fly for that. I was 19 when it happened.
Wow.
I didn't fly for over a year after that because I was just kind of petrified after that.
Yeah, getting back on the plane.
But then I just slowly got back on the saddle. The first flight I took was only like a 30-minute flight just to ease yourself into it. And then after that, I was like, well, there's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah.
And so, I've had people that reach out to me and they had a similar experience that you did. They get to the airport ready to go and then they just freak.
Yeah.
And they have that. And a lot of that time, it's a combination of excitement, you're not sure of what's going on. You don't have the knowledge.
Well, you have no control.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you're literally, and it depends on the pilot, some pilots are really good about conversating and telling you what's happening. Hey, we're going to have 10 minutes of turbulence coming up. So, hang out. We should get this through. Some pilots don't say a word.
Right.
I would prefer a pilot tell me what's going on. As a matter of fact, I would prefer a pilot to lie to me. I always say,
Sure.
I want the pilot to go like, this is going to be the smoothest flight you've ever been on,
Right.
What I hate is when a pilot, like I take out of Detroit out to L.A., and he's like, we're 5 minutes in the air, and he's like, yeah, it looks like it's going to get pretty bumpy over the Rockies. And I'm like, oh, well, shit, then you just ruined my next 2.5 hours. All I'm going to think about is the Rockies now,
right.
So I hate that. But
yeah, most of the time, they're really solid about it. They know, the triggers for what a lot of flying public has, and with everybody starting to slowly come back into COVID, it's started to kind of almost start fresh again with a lot of people. And I think that's why you're starting to see a lot of, panicked travelers and passengers. You have travel on top of it, plus all these regulations and rules.
Well, and just even having a mask on is not comfortable.
Yep. Yep.
You know,
big time.
So it's like, you know, that's why I don't know. Like, we want to go to Africa.
Yep.
You know, and we can right now. There's no regulations against it.
Sure.
Just have to have a COVID test when you come back into the U.S. No COVID. Don't even have to have a test to go. But especially I'm vaccinated anyways. And have so much antibodies, you know. I mean, I've had COVID
twice.
I've had COVID more times than anybody.
Yeah, the COVID king.
I'm the COVID king.
Yeah.
I'm a virus vacuum is what I call myself. And when the next variant comes out, I'll catch that too. I'll catch that one as well. You know, because I'm a collector. I like to collect reptiles. I like to catch.
He's the swine flu savant.
Your immune system has the badges. You know, like I've had this and beat it.
Yeah. Someday they're going to start taking my blood to treat people. Is what
you're like the platelet blood.
It's like Brian Barczyk strain. It's going to be coming up, but you know, it's hard for me to think about a 16-hour flight with a mask on, man.
Yeah,
you know?
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it no matter what. It's I think right now my longest I could do was 5.5, 6 hours. So like a transcontinental flight.
Sure.
It does get tiresome. You know, it does hurt your ears. You know, and just kind of all the stuff that you kind of deal with, and it does get kind of annoying. But like I said, if it makes everyone else safer, I'm okay with it. You know?
Same, of course.
Yeah, I hope that it seems a little weird to me, right? That like you can be in a restaurant without a mask, you can be, you know, wherever, but not on a plane. When they say that the you know, HEPA filters on a plane are so good, like, you know, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, it's everyone's got their own opinion on it, and it is what it is. It's very safe, but there's always, I mean, you got to remember you're passing through the same door, you're touching the same stuff, and though it is wiped down, I mean, you just got to be smart, you know.
Yeah. How long do you think that'll last?
I would say if I had a good guess, masks on planes without any more variants, I would say 12 more months at least.
12 more months.
And that's if there's no more variants.
I'm almost having a panic attack right now.
No, that's honest. So I mean, I just you know,
just breathe in this bag.
I think it just brings too much confidence to travelers that it would maybe take away confidence from certain travelers, so it might hurt. So I think you know, it's better to be, especially on the airline side of it, to be err to the side of caution.
Interesting.
You know, so
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll hold you to that.
All right.
12 months from now, I'm going to start flying overseas. Chris
it.
told me.
Yeah.
I'm going to show up to the airport, and if they make me wear a mask, I'm going to I'll throw such a complaint.
Sundly said.
Chris said I don't have to wear a mask.
Get this guy out of here.
Well, I have a recording of it on my podcast.
He's only allowed to fly out of Flint now.
No more. I'm going to be on the no travel
list. They don't have
list.
pilots in Flint, dude.
What's Nick up to?
Nick says, hey, guys, just sending some love.
Thanks, Nick.
We love you, Nick.
Thank you, man.
Tiffany also says, also, did you get my gift? It was a lizard leash. Oh, my God, no.
Well, now that you've told me, you've
now
ruined
it's
the
not a surprise.
I did not get it yet, but I will be anxiously awaiting.
Oh, this should be fun.
Thank you, Tiff.
Lisa says, hey, Brian and Jay, how you doing? What's your favorite part of your week this week? Anything crazy happen? Sending y'all love from far away.
Did anything crazy happen to you this week? I'll let you answer first.
No, I got through it. That's the biggest part.
Yeah.
Right?
So you off on the weekends then?
Yeah. Yep. I definitely,
nice.
my personal relaxing day is on Sunday. So I'm a big football fan. So I just kind of sit, I go work out, and I come
Sorry
home.
about your Wisconsin guys.
Yeah, that's all right.
Getting an ass kicking today by Michigan.
Yeah, I expected that going forward, but I've got the Packers to look forward to, if anything, and that's just
shit.
Yeah, you know, guaranteed winning.
Well, you know,
pretty much.
You're in the best pro football state in the country.
Yeah.
They're pretty much crushing it.
You're almost wearing the Honolulu blue right
That's
now.
why they call you all the Lions.
It was funny because last I checked my phone before I got here was a 13-10 game, and I kind of listened to it on my way up, and then it just slowly started to get away. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, no, that was a good
Can't
ass.
talk.
It was a good ass kick.
Can't talk shit, but
no, Michigan
makes up for last year because I think we won 42-0 against Michigan.
We haven't won in Wisconsin, Michigan, and when I say we, I don't give a shit because I don't really care about sports that much. But it's like 2010 since the last time we won in Wisconsin.
Crazy.
So go Maize and Blue.
Simple Man says, hey, hope you're all doing well and hope you have a great night.
What's been going on, Simple Man? We haven't heard from him.
I feel like
much.
you've been ghosty.
Yeah, he's been ghosty.
Oh, well, maybe you can use that.
Back,
maybe use that EVP thing. You could talk to Simple Man.
We could talk to Simple Man.
You know what I'm saying?
Simple Man, how old are you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Scottish Rob says, flying is fine. Layovers with nothing to do since COVID has closed places and terminals sucks, but best to you guys.
One time I flew to Australia, and so it was 5.5 hours to LA, 5 hours to LA, let's say. And then there's been, about a 3-hour layover because, getting through all the bullshit. They always make about 3 hours. It takes an hour to get loaded onto those planes.
Yeah,
They're so big. But for some reason, the first time this has ever happened to me, they put us in like a terminal, and the only thing that there was a vending machine. There was no drinks. Weird. There was no stores. Now, granted, it was a later. You always fly out of LAX at like midnight.
Yep.
So it was like everything was closed. But literally, there was 300 people, 400 people, however many people fit on that plane, in one little thing with one vending machine. Yeah. That was it.
Oh.
Yep.
And so I sat there for 3 hours waiting for my plane.
Yeah.
And that was the one time where I couldn't wait to get on the plane. You know what I mean? I was like, just get me on the plane, a comfy seat.
Yeah.
Certainly I was flying coach at the time. But like I said, I've never flown in like the lay down. Even all the first class, I've flown first. So domestically I fly first class, but I've never had a lay down ever. Never done the pod life. I don't know what it's like, man.
It's incredible. When I worked for the airlines when I was it was younger, it was 1920. You could fly standby for whatever, and so me and a couple buddies, spontaneous trips were a thing. You're in college, you got nothing really else to do.
Sure.
So one day we woke up. You're like, you want to go to Amsterdam? We're like,
wow.
Yeah. So we just woke up and we flew, and it was funny. I remember checking my phone when I was on my flight. I flew Minneapolis to Amsterdam on a lay flat seat. And looked at the price of the flight, and it was like $8,700. And I'm like, I didn't pay a cent for this.
Oh my gosh!
And I lived it up big time. And so I've done it a couple times, but it's.
See, I think I would like to fly that way.
I think, especially if you're doing, distance stuff, there's so many perks that come with it. And if you're a big, if you get miles and stuff for it and you have credit cards and everything, it pays for itself. Plus, you're so much more refreshed. You could lay down, you get a good night's sleep.
Yeah, because I can't sleep on a plane.
Yeah.
Like I think I could sleep if I was laying down.
Yep, it's a whole different.
But sitting up, like I always tell people, I can't fall asleep in my living room.
Yeah.
Sitting up. I can't. Certainly, I'm not going to fall asleep with 100 people sitting next to me.
Yep.
Bouncing and those seats are. I don't care. Even if you're in first class, it's still not that comfortable.
Yeah.
It's not like you're.
It's not a lazy boy.
Although I like the Delta. It's like premium select they call it,
yep.
where it's like not first class, it's not business class, but it's like, and it's still like the seats kind of recline.
Yep.
Not laying down, but
yep.
you're pretty comfortable. They got like footrest. The TV screen's like twice the size.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, man.
Yep.
And I flew from Indonesia through Tokyo, home there and home on Japan Air.
Yeah.
And they had the premium select, and
Yep.
it was like $200 more.
It's worth it.
And I was like, oh my god, for $200 more,
Yep.
I'm in.
Every time.
And it was so nice.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. I mean, when you're laying down on top of, you have like a twin bed essentially in the air, you're given luxury, bedding. They give you some spot, places they give you pajamas to change into, and
that's what I need in my life.
I think if you ever do it, if you ever pay the money, I almost think do it on a foreign carrier like some of the big China, Japanese airlines, the Middle Eastern, because
Middle Eastern seemed to be like Emirates seemed to be amazing.
Yeah, the American first class experience is great in its own, but like the elite would be, your those type of airlines. You're catering towards a different customer, I guess, in a sense. So that would be my recommendation is if you do it once, do it big. So
I'd love to do it sometime. I mean, I'd love to get it comped if I could.
Hey, shoot your shot.
Listen, I'll vlog it.
Come on, I'll take a shower in your damn plane.
And honestly, even if you don't get it paid for, most of them are really good. They're used to people recording and everything like that. They'll say, no problem.
Yeah, it's funny because I don't understand. I mean, I understand. I don't understand why. I've been on a lot of flights, in particular to Australia, where like half business class is empty.
Yep.
But yet they won't bump you up, and I don't know why.
It's to keep it an elite level of people. So they'll bump up. Say if you're like one of the highest level of flyers for that airline, they'll say, "Oh yeah, we'll get you up there," or that would be the biggest case. But it's to keep it, at that elite level. They don't want it just anybody to do it up there. But an interesting fact is,
are you trying to tell me I'm just a nobody?
We're all peasants.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sit in the back.
Yeah, no.
I did tell you I was a gold member.
Right.
On Delta.
Well, you're not platinum.
But I don't fly Delta that much. Although one of my favorite flights ever was actually on Virgin, which was Delta's partner, and it was Virgin to Australia.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, was that a great flight, man?
Richard Branson's airline.
That was. I mean, literally, like it's kind of a funny story. I flew there. Of course, I flew Delta to LA, and then got on, and just getting on that plane.
Yep.
different feel from any other plane I've ever been on. Just the feel of it, the flight attendants dress a certain way.
Yep.
There's like mood
fancy,
lighting.
yeah.
It's like hip hop music on.
Oh,
it's
so
like,
it's like kind of like modern and
it's like
Art
so,
Deco.
Oh my gosh, it's like you're walking into the future. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
And the seats are badass. They give you these real comfortable headphones. Every seat has a comfortable headphones. Like
No,
not like stick in your ear.
I get you.
I mean,
it's like Steve Jobs at an airline.
Like you said, they give you the little thing with slippers
Yep.
and all kinds of stuff. Really beautiful. So, and then the entertainment was like ridiculous because I don't sleep, and it's a 15, 16-hour flight.
Yep.
So I just watch movies. So I watch like 7, 8 movies, and the entertainment was crazy. So much so that I was in Australia for, I think
You're like, I don't want to get off the plane.
I was in there for like 10 days, and I was looking forward to the flight home.
Yeah.
I was like, I cannot wait to get back on the plane because I didn't watch this movie. Dude. And literally, I get on, it's a Delta flight on the way back. I'm like, damn it, no,
Right.
not Delta.
If you're ever traveling international, you want the true experience of what that country offers. Is always try to fly like the flag carrier of that country. Because
I've flown Qantas before.
Because they have is everything down to like the interior of the airplane, the food they serve, the outfits.
I once flew South African Air also. Too. It was terrible.
They're no longer around. So they're actually under.
Now you know why.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny too because I read a review on it, and what you did was you flew from DC, Dulles to Senegal.
Yep.
And then from Senegal to Joburg.
Yep.
And the review was like, the plane's kind of not that great, but they always seem to have a problem with the entertainment system.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, And sure enough, we get up in the air, and the freaking movies don't work.
No.
I'm like, this is like a 16-hour in
Terrible.
the air. 8 hours to Senegal, 8 hours to Joburg from there.
Yep.
And thankfully, they did actually fix it. But then another thing, I had some friends come over from South Africa. They weren't friends at the time. Now they become friends. They came over, their family, and then I visited them when I was. As a matter of fact, this guy Paul is the one that saved my life.
Oh, okay.
He was the guy.
Yeah,
He's the one that
story.
saved my
It's
life.
crazy.
But he said on the flight home on South African Air, on the way home.
Yep.
I don't know why. He was in first class, but his family was in coach. Not exactly
I know why.
But I don't know why it was.
I know all about
Get away while you can, right?
But something like caught on fire.
Oh man.
And literally, he said they were over the Atlantic, and everything went pitch black.
No.
And it was nighttime. And he said you could just see a little ember and smoke billowing.
Huh.
And he said that they put the fire out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And but the lights were out for like a half hour, 40 minutes, and then the entertainment system didn't work the rest of the flight.
No.
Yeah, that might trigger a little excitement and anxiety.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
He said that he said he went back and sat with his family.
Yeah.
He's like, it was so bad.
He's so
Oh,
bad
man,
I didn't even sit in first class.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh. So, all right.
crazy.
So reptiles. I mean, we ain't talking about reptiles at all. What's your dream? I mean, you're working with obviously ball pythons and geckos and stuff like that. Leeches are a cool animal in itself.
I
but,
love 'em.
But is there anything like that you're like, I've got to work with this in the future?
A Bronia would be one that
Okay.
I really
Wow,
like.
very cool.
I've always kind of liked those the Borneo earless monitors. That's a dream.
That's interesting.
That's a dream. I would like to get more experience because I know of how endangered they are.
Yeah,
and
they are,
obviously
yeah.
I don't want to be a noob working with something like that because
Sure.
they're very cool. But that's a dream animal. And actually, I'd really like to get eventually I'd like to move somewhere warm, and I'd love to get a big Aldabra tortoise. And just I'd like to have some land and just get a nice big Aldabra or something large tortoise and have with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I think that would be really cool. It's something that
The Glops and Eldabras are really special.
Yeah,
They are special
We just
animals.
had Matilda out yesterday in the back and letting her run around.
She was so funny.
Yeah.
She's
I don't-
hilarious, man.
Some people want horses. Just give me a big tortoise and
big tortoise.
go out there in the morning with my coffee and feed it cactus pads and I think that'd be so cool.
We went out to Reptile Gardens in South Dakota. They had the largest Aldabras I've ever seen in
Ever.
my entire
yeah,
life.
I've been there. It's crazy.
I mean, they are like the size of a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
I mean, they are gigantic.
It's unreal that animals get like
Because
that
I've seen
big.
a lot of big tortoises, but
Right.
never anything like that. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, that was like
Impressive.
shocking to me how
Right.
big. But they were like 100 and I think they said
Some
that,
are almost close to 200.
yeah, I think they're almost 200 years old.
It's crazy.
So,
Like
I mean,
1890s.
Matilda's going to be forever before she
Right,
gets that
right.
size,
Yeah, I definitely would like one and just kind of, hopefully if I ever have kids, pass it down one, and they take care of it. And that would be the only thing that maybe deter me away from getting one. Is you just got to be responsible with.
Yeah,
them.
your great grandkids one day might have them.
And like, oh
you
my
hope.
God.
Yeah,
They're like, why did my great grandfather give us this giant tortoise? This seems like a lot of responsibility for an 8-year-old.
Some people leave their kids, an inheritance and all that. And
well, you're going to have to give them.
I have Carlos, the giant Aldabra.
Yeah,
it's like it's going to cost so much money to feed it. You better leave it. Here's $200,000, but you're not going to be able to use any of that money because it's just going to cost you that much. Just lettuce. They do eat an insane amount of lettuce and everything else for that matter.
Yeah, that's the biggest one. But I would say that's probably about it. I actually just like the lizards and the geckos, and more so than the snakes. I love ball pythons and their color mutations and everything. I love the little hognose. I got a couple little hognose, but
Hoggies are
cute, even just seeing like the color evolution of bearded dragons since I started following them. I just picked up a Wero actually.
Yeah, Wero. Yep.
And I just love them. They're just so crazy, and to see what they might look like in 5 or 10 more years is
unreal.
It is crazy to think about it, and it's so weird, isn't it, that like Australia didn't develop those colors, right. Like they developed here in the U.S., which is just maybe it's because that was here. The founder stock was so limited that we just started breeding polymorphically for things, and then sometimes through inbreeding, there were recessive mutations that popped up, like hypos and stuff like that, and leatherbacks obviously, and so now what was interesting is that a lot of the American bearded dragons were being smuggled back into Australia.
Right. Isn't that crazy?
Which is just bizarre.
That's actually really funny.
And to think of how far you've come from just like a normal sand-colored bearded dragon.
And that's how it was when I was young.
And I mean, even obviously, I've only been in this maybe 10, 12 years, but to see where it started, even ball pythons, it's just absurd to see where
ridiculous.
it is.
Even I can't keep up anymore. People will be like, "Have you heard about this
Plutonium platarius?"
Like, what? What is that? Like, what is that? I've never heard of it before.
Right. So that's I just think that's so cool, just
it is cool how far
evolution,
things have come.
What's it going to look like in 5, 10 years? I mean, I think are you going to get to the point where you start reverse engineering?
Yeah.
I mean, do you just because eventually you're going to get a color palette that maybe you don't know what you get. And
well, I always say with ball pythons, and this does happen with some cases, is like people start combining so many things that you almost start producing something that looks almost normal again. It's like, oh, it's congratulations, you produced a normal.
We're back where we started.
This is an 8-gene animal. It's a normal.
It's so cool.
But it is cool. It is cool. So, you got any other super?
Yeah. So Edward says, speaking of armadillo, we need a Brillo. We need Brillo merch. Some armadillos would be dope. We got to do something like armadillo with it or something like that.
Armadillo with it.
Yeah. We can get. We'll get there.
I like that idea. He usually has something funny to say.
Yeah, dude, he's the best too. I love that little guy. Next one up is V-Dog says, air on a plane is recycled. I ended up with H1N1 swine flu after flying from LA to Ottawa, Canada.
I'm so glad
I definitely wear a mask right now.
I'm glad she said she went to Ottawa because I know that I spread H1N1 on a flight from LA once. I did. I had H1N1, the swine flu.
Yeah.
I caught it in LA. And I flew home not knowing I had it.
Maybe you were in the airport with her.
And I am telling you, I wish I knew the people sitting next to me because I would send an apology to them.
Right.
They absolutely had H1N1 when they left because I coughed for 5 hours straight.
Yeah.
For 5 hours straight, I coughed. Now I was a window seat, so I coughed on the window.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it was bouncing back, and it wasn't until 2 or 3 days after I was back, I went to the doctor because I was so sick.
Yep.
And they swabbed me for normal flu.
Right.
And I came back negative, but then came back positive for H1N1. I told you I'm a virus magnet.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So when she said that, I got
tell them about your
scared.
Ebola story, Brian.
Just get it.
Had a bowl,
Ebola ice cream.
Ebola ice cream.
That's it.
Every week.
Yeah. Wild Boy Dev says, "What's your scariest interaction with an animal?"
Yeah. What do you think?
Actually, with I would say a white-tailed deer. I was a deer.
Talk to me.
Yeah, I was a deer hunter and actually walked up on a buck white-tailed deer and it kicked up and obviously I think it was probably about an 8-point buck.
Wow.
And it it charged at me and threw its head forward, and I fell backwards, and then thankfully it took off. But that would have been done. Yeah,
it would mauled the hell out of you.
I mean, and at that point I was 16. I was very young, and
it would have beat the heck out of you.
Oh, it would have been
Yeah,
done. It would have been done. It would have been like the Michigan-Wisconsin game today.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't realize that they can be very dangerous.
Oh,
not only
so
their
dangerous.
antlers, but their
hooves.
hooves and stuff.
Yep.
And
So that's by far like the scariest animal one. I mean, a bite isn't really scary.
That's why we kill them all now.
Yeah.
They taste good, but
car or gun, whatever. Bow.
You see a deer, you should shoot
cannon.
it.
Right, yeah.
No, I'm not against hunting at all. I just can't.
No, me neither.
I couldn't do it.
Everything that we did was humanely done, and
No, I think it helps. It's a part of science.
It's we thinning the herd.
If we kill all the predators, you got to be the predator, right?
Yeah. It is a bummer that people are killing wolves and coyotes like crazy.
Yeah, it is. But like, I also get it because like you don't want your kid walking home from school and getting eaten by a wolf either. If you had a bunch.
I mean,
Really? Well, not me. I don't.
You?
But like,
you've seen my kids.
I mean, you could take a couple out, maybe a leg or two.
Darwinism.
Yeah.
But so I understand. Like, I wish. Trust me. I love.
I watched
wolves.
the podcast yesterday. We could have saved the world a lot of hassle. A coyote would have taken them out.
You did watch the podcast. Came in at a weird time too.
Yeah, I know.
I think every time anyone comes into that podcast, it's a weird time.
I watched about 75% of that podcast yesterday.
Oh, really?
Actually. I was on there quite a bit, lurking, and I was chatting it up a little bit.
We're
too.
Stupid, you know. That's how
it's fun.
It's always.
I always love Noah's podcast. It's always fun.
And then Wild Boy does. Oh yeah, I already read that.
Yeah.
One. Sorry, bro. Well, you got another shout out, and he came back anyway.
yeah.
He says worst flight experience for me was Spirit, Chicago to Detroit.
Well, listen, I think everyone's worst flight experience starts with Spirit.
Yeah.
The sentence always has Spirit in the. Is your terminal Spirit?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's
so you gotta be careful.
I said, I can't say too. I mean, the craziest thing with Spirit is they actually have one of the newest fleets, so they fly some of the newest airplanes.
Interesting.
But they're also one of the highest like revenue and profit making airlines.
Yes, because they get you on your bags.
Yeah, I mean you can pay
on everything. Man.
Yeah, $30 for $50 for a seat, and if you're literally traveling with nothing, that's great, and you just don't care.
That's how I do it. Yeah,
but people will get hit with $200, $300 worth of fees, and then
you could have flown Delta for the same price.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And the seat spacing is just. I remember I used to edit on the plane.
Oh yeah,
and you cannot fit a computer and edit. It's impossible.
Yep.
You can't do it. You can't.
I've never flown Spirit, believe it or not.
Gosh.
So I
God bless you.
Lucky fella.
It's like I said, they have their own niche in the market, and
they crush it.
Yeah, they're a big
niche.
player, and believe it or not, they're actually one of the best, like voted one of the most admired airlines to work for. I mean,
really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay.
The attendants are always super hyped. Yeah, that's all I know.
Yeah, so but I mean, you get what you pay for. That's what I'll leave it as.
Yeah, that's fair.
When I was flying back and forth to LA with Discovery,
Yep.
they always booked me on Spirit.
Oh, yeah.
So 5-hour flight on Spirit, It's like, thanks guys. And it was a lot of times there was like layovers too.
Yeah.
Like there was like layovers, like you'd have to fly to Denver and then Denver over. You'd be like, come on, man.
Right.
Like your Discovery, you don't you're paying a $99 flight for me. Like, come on, man.
Yep.
Like, geez. And it's yeah,
don't you love it?
I used to hate that because I had no
control.
Say.
Yeah.
They booked the ticket and you would have to fly there.
Yep.
There was nothing you could do about it. But yeah, I used to fly Spirit, occasionally. Now I will never fly Spirit.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's like I said, it has its own niche in the market, and they're a big player.
What I don't understand is that it's $75 to check a carry-on, but only $50 for baggage.
Right.
Like, what the hell is that? Like, it's more expensive to carry on your luggage than it is to check your luggage.
Because people might not think about it that way. They think if I bring a small bag, then it might be cheaper when really it's not.
Yeah.
But if you
if
you were booking your ticket though and you knew you were bringing a bag, then you pay $20-$30 and a lot of the times when you see people get mad at Spirit, it's because they don't read either the fine print or you know what I mean. It's kind of one of those things where they maybe haven't done their research and I'm not saying that they've never done wrong, but I mean,
oh dude, no, like dead serious. Like, listen, I've taken a lot of Spirit flights, but is for the most part, dude, I would have flights where there'd be 6 rows empty and I'd have the whole plane to myself. You know what I mean? I've always had a good time, even though it's like, I mean, I get it. It's mad small and hard to sit.
Yeah, and you're a big dude.
I'm a big
and
dude,
I'm
son.
just a little dude, man. And I'm in
It's
there
rough.
like claustrophobic. I'm like,
man.
But yeah, I would do what you said. I would take like a backpack. I'd have my clothes and my camera gear, and I'd go see Maria for like $37 on January 4th or something.
And
like
that's
that.
that's the biggest thing is what price are you willing to pay? Are you willing to pay that $50?
Bus ticket,
yeah. Which I mean, what can you get for $50 nowadays? Let alone a plane
I think there's
ticket.
like literally like a flight. I think it's actually on Frontier. Is a flight to Denver for $47.
Yep.
Like $47.
I love that's a bus that was like a bus from New Jersey to New York.
It's like, and that's Denver's dope, man.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's like you're not
How
flying
bad do you want
to
to go on the vacation?
And that airport's crazy, right? Isn't that
Yeah.
airport like got like mad superstition? The
if
Denver airport.
if you've got some time, you got to look into all the
Do
superstitious
you know about
stuff.
this, Brian?
No, I don't.
You don't know about Denver Airport, bro?
No.
I'm trying to remember exactly.
It's like Illuminati. They
Yeah.
supposedly the
Doomsday.
Denver airport has had like construction going on since like the 80s, right? And everyone theorizes that there is like an underground Illuminati cavern under the
Doomsday
Denver airport.
bunker.
Or maybe it's like the Winchester House,
Could
where
be.
if they stop construction, planes will crash.
So
maybe.
the funny thing
Never
I
thought
think
of that.
with Denver is everyone that works there, they know the conspiracy, but then if the other thing is they post the art up there that looks very
They play into
doomsday.
it.
Yeah, they love
Really?
it.
No,
Yeah.
because they actually they put this like gargoyle that talks.
Yeah.
So people come up and they're like, like maybe like looking at the conspiracy stuff, and they're like, "What do you think?" The gargoyle will be like, "What do you think? It's Illuminati?" It's like so
What?
good.
Yeah.
So like they buy
Do you
into
remember,
it, huh?
Brian? Do you remember when we went to? I think it was maybe the St. Louis Aquarium. I don't remember, but there was that like otter, that like virtual reality otter that was
Yeah,
talking to you.
yeah.
It's like that, but an actual gargoyle.
my
So
gosh,
someone's
that's
watching
wild.
and talking
Yeah.
to you. It's
Oh
so
my God,
sick.
that's wild.
it's a
gotta
crazy
go.
story,
Yeah.
but we'll never know. I guess maybe one day. One day we will
One
know.
day
But
we'll know.
yeah, they
Interesting.
definitely play into it. But yeah, that's the other fun part of the airport. So like everyone kind of has their own,
Yeah, what's your favorite airport?
I would say Honolulu because
Okay.
not only do the
Because it's outside too.
yeah,
you know,
it's
like
it's mostly outside. It's beautiful. It's right on the beach there, but all their employees get to wear the shirts,
Coconuts?
yeah,
Sure.
the khakis. I mean,
yeah,
they
when you
play
land
into it.
in Honolulu,
It's
you
beautiful.
know you're in Honolulu.
Yeah,
and like you
It's got
said,
the
when
vibe,
you're walking
yeah.
through the terminal, a lot of the terminal literally doesn't have walls.
Oh,
so it's like
okay.
to the
That's so cool.
outside,
Beautiful.
and it's just I mean, it's absolutely amazing.
Great rendition
I
of
like
an airport.
I like Honolulu, and then Vegas will be a close second because you can play slots and stuff.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, that's a great way to pass
remember-
time and lose even more
Yeah,
money.
it used to- and I hear it's like
Straight
the
up.
worst odds are at the airport. By the
yeah.
way,
Oh, yeah.
I hear like
Yeah.
they always say don't play slots because it's like the tightest machines.
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
planet. But I remember back in the day when you used to fly into to Vegas. Is it McCarran International?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
McCarran. The coins were awesome because it was coins. So you walk in there and you just hear ching 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 ching
Yeah,
ching.
oh, yeah.
Now it's like kind of fake, So
it's just like a card
The
and shit.
nostalgia just isn't quite as.
They
what
should
it
have never
is.
got rid of the coin thing.
Yeah, no, I don't know why they did. I mean, I guess I get
It's
it.
not that
but-
difficult to
but
carry a
yeah.
bucket of 40-pound bucket of quarters around. Come on.
Yeah, it made you.
Well, maybe
feel
some
good
people
about
were taking them with them, and then that comes a cost thing. And
Yeah, true.
So
Always these
Yeah.
businesses, got to stay afloat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever.
They're not making billions enough.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
want to make
right.
more.
Gotta take away the plastic
They want to
coins.
make more billions.
Yeah. Rob says, Brian, why don't you have or breed venomous snakes?
It's really, it's my respect for Lori. Lori has a line that Lori lets me do a tremendous amount of things that people don't understand. But there is a line there, and I feel out of respect for her that I won't ever try to cross that line.
Yeah.
I love venomous snakes. I work with venomous snakes as much as I can. I've messed with them my whole life, but Lori is just really opposed to it, and it's understandable because she also knows me.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna always push the envelope.
Yeah, remember the whole once you have 100 snakes, it doesn't matter if you have 300 snakes. That's exactly what she does.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely, if I were going to start with venomous, I probably would get a king cobra right off the rip.
Yeah, just
I'd
dive
love
in.
to have a king, and
then you'd be like, but having a Gabby would be cool.
I
And I
can't
got to
have
get
just-
the rhino if I have the Gabby.
I can't just have one king. I got to have a pair of kings.
Yeah.
And I got
Or
to
a
represent
trio.
more vipers, so I
Yeah.
got to get
And then
some
there's
squams.
the Malaysians, and then there's the Indochina kings.
But this
gotta
one's
have
red, Lori.
Yeah, I got to have the red throats. I got to have, exactly. I mean,
And I understand.
got to have 25 kings.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it.
We 3 kings at least.
You got to have a mamba for sure. Black mamba.
Yeah,
for
which is
sure.
so dangerous.
Yeah.
Didn't Chandler, I think, just got like a taipan, if I'm not mistaken, an inland taipan, right?
Was it inland or coastal?
I
I'm
don't
not sure
know.
which
Could
one it
be.
was. I'm not sure. I saw he got a taipan. I didn't.
But how
see which
cool
one
is
it was.
that? That must be sketchy.
Inland would be much better.
I think it was the one that's much better. Like I don't think it was the most deadly one.
Well, inlands are more deadly,
but they don't bite
as
much, right?
Yeah, you could almost handle most inlands like a corn snake.
Wow.
You know, they're that chill. Coastals kill you.
Yeah, no matter what.
They just want to bite you right now. Yeah, they want to bite you. And they typically, when they bite, they juice you like you can't believe.
Wow.
And they also will oftentimes rapid bite, like chunk, chunk, chunk.
Oh, so you'll get
look
pumped
down,
a few times.
You'll look down and you'll have 3 bite marks in a second, you know.
Wow.
And they just juice the hell out of you. Whereas the inlands are much more dangerous as far as the venom potency, but they don't bite hardly ever.
Wow.
So
would you ever consider like a Mexican beaded lizard or a Gila monster? Do you think?
No, we've talked about it, but
something that's maybe a little bit more chill.
Yeah, we've talked about it, but even that, you know, is
I think it's like the wow factor of the lizard. I think like doesn't outweigh if someone got hurt.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, is with the reptarium, our philosophy is oftentimes like, what's more impressive, Elvis or a beaded lizard? To that, you were upstairs when the kids saw Elvis come out.
To us, maybe the beaded lizard.
To us, the beaded or the you know.
And still to me is Elvis, but
it's a fine line of educating somebody that doesn't maybe know a lot versus somebody, I mean, big reptile enthusiast. It's like, oh, that's cool, you know.
I would say that, you know, the reptile zoo, I want people that like reptiles to come, but it's also for people that are just really casual, like just they want to like, wow, I've never been around reptiles. Let's go to this place and get
like a zoo.
And so we always say, like, people will say it all the time, like, oh, you should get this, and it's like, well, that'd be great for, you know, a reptile person, but the normal person just wants to see Sunrise, the albino Burmese.
Yeah, normal person's gonna be like, that's a green snake.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, you know.
You know, do you ever? Obviously, you have this all built now. Do you ever think you wish you would have built it maybe closer to like the city or closer to the metropolitan area, or are you content with where it is?
I'm really content with where it is. I want to stay in Utica. I love Utica. I love the area. I love everything about it. We were in talks before pre-COVID with a company about building, ironically enough, it was going to be a reptile aquarium. And this was before we decided to do an aquarium here. And they were, you know, it's a company that's a big company. And it's called The Platform, and they built like the Pistons, you know, practice thing for $100 million, and I mean they do, they literally own like a third of the city. They own, you know, do you know what the Fisher Building is downtown? They own the Fisher Building, so I mean this is a huge company, and we were in talks with them about them getting funding to do a Detroit reptile / aquarium, and then COVID hit, and you know,
kaputsies.
I mean, they obviously at that point they're like, you know, even though in hindsight, obviously the 4 months that we were shut down and everyone else was shut down was tragic for everybody. But the truth is, places like ours thrived afterwards. You know, but that's what the platform didn't understand, was that maybe the best time to have done it was then, you know, because now zoos and aquariums are crushing it, you know, like, I mean, you know, I know most of my friends that have private zoos or aquariums have said that their best year ever was in 2020, 21, you know? So, you know, but now I think that even if they ever came back to me and said, let's do it, especially if I do this expansion,
then it's like competing with yourself.
Then I'd
right?
be competing with myself. So why would people come here if they could go to one that's
bigger,
that's closer.
A bigger version?
Right.
Now, granted, the one in Detroit wouldn't be handling hands-on and stuff like that, because they wanted to more like a zoo / aquarium, big public aquarium. Because, you know, Detroit is one of the very few big cities in the country that doesn't have an aquarium. You know, we have Sea Life and we have the Belle Isle Aquarium, but the Belle Isle Aquarium's the oldest aquarium in the country, and it's not even been open, I don't think, since COVID. I don't think.
Yeah, and it's not like super big either.
That's not. Yeah, you've been with me. Right? Yeah, and so it's cool, but it's not like it's retro cool.
Yeah.
And then Sea Life is Sea Life, you know. I mean, it's cool. I like Sea Life. I think it's a cool place, but you know, it's definitely.
It's not the Georgia Aquarium or something like that.
Yeah, and not that we're going to be the Georgia Aquarium, but I think we're going to have more interaction that will be more interesting than Sea Life. Because for me, we went to Sea Life recently, and it took me about a half hour to walk through it, and I was done. After a half hour, I was like, okay, I'm good. You know, I don't have anything else to do here, and I'm going to leave. You know, we want people to at least spend an hour at our aquarium and feel like they could use another hour. You know, and so that's our challenge, is to make that happen. You know, so
okay.
But we'll see. We'll see how that. We'll see how good that goes.
Josh says, checking in late. It's been a minute since I caught a live Snake Talk podcast, and I'm feeling good.
Well, Josh, I'm glad you're feeling good, man.
Yeah, better.
And thank you for joining us.
We got Jason from
There's
Morphology.
our boy,
We
Jason.
got to think of that thing.
That's so we got your package, Jason. He said to open it. We're going to open on Wednesday.
Okay, perfect.
So the podcast with Lori. And,
you guys are going to open on the podcast. That's a great
we're gonna
idea.
open on the podcast,
Good idea. He says, "What's up, Snake Dudes? How's Saturday treating y'all?"
So far, good. How about you?
Good,
man?
yeah, great.
So
got here and having a good time.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, you live about an hour away, huh?
Yeah, yep. Traffic was brutal getting up here.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's like construction hell here.
That's what it
it's
is.
ridiculous.
So bad.
Yeah, I mean, on my way home, it's like every day I'm like, I've got 3 roads I can take. All 3 are screwed.
Yeah.
And
I just don't see how you need to take up like miles of one road. Just take up a mile and then let us drive and then do another mile another day.
I agree.
It just seems
Mound Road is just absolutely ridiculous right now.
Mound, Gratiot, Shaner, all of them suck.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. But have
you met anybody cool?
Yeah.
Travel?
Yeah, I was telling Jay about this story before I came on. So one of the jobs that I had before I moved out here was I worked for it's called an FBO, so it's a fixed based operator, and they get all the private travelers, so like the private jets and stuff like that.
Nice.
And when I worked there, you meet a lot of celebrities and a lot of people like high profile come through, and one of the funniest stories I had was meeting Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Nice.
He
You go up, you park the plane, you greet the people, and I knew who he was. I knew who was on it coming off, and you see the door open, you expect the Terminator.
Giant, huge man.
And the door opens and he steps out and he comes down, and as you see him step down, you realize he's like 5'3", 5'4". Yeah,
Brian, did you? Dude, I was so shocked when he said this.
Yeah, and the guy was, and he's obviously
like the dude from Toy Soldier.
Yeah, and a really nice guy, no issues, but the whole time I just didn't even really know what to say, because you think you see all the bodybuilding
I assumed
stuff.
he was like 6 foot.
Yeah,
6'2",
stuff like that. But he's like 5'4", 5'3", and I was just mind blown. I mean, like you're sitting there, you're like, okay, like this was not.
I might be able to take the Terminator.
Tom Cruise was the same one.
Yeah, Tom Cruise.
And I knew it going into it, but when you see it, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, I've heard Tom Cruise is small. Robert Downey Jr. is supposed to be really short.
Yep.
Johnny Depp's supposed to be really short. Yeah. So it's interesting how
most successful people are short.
Yeah.
It's a fact. It's a fact.
Amen, baby.
Yeah. What'd you say?
I'm 5'2".
Say it again.
I'm 5'2".
I'm not even kidding though. Like even like in the drum world and skateboarding, like all the people that do the best are always short.
It's funny, Kevin. I'm 5'8", so I'm not tall. I'm not short. I'm on the smaller side of average. I think 5'10" is about average.
Yeah, probably.
I'm a little shorter than that. But Kevin McCurley from Nerd had people convinced I was like 4'11",
which is great.
for like
it's just so
what
good.
would happen was like I would be now. I'm used to people like because again I'm on YouTube and I'm whatever this type of thing, and I do get people go, wow, you're shorter than I expected.
Sure.
But with during that period of time, I would get people come up to reptile shows, go, wow, you're a lot taller than I thought you were.
Really?
Because Kevin,
it's kind of good, right?
Oh yeah,
he was convincing people that I was only 4'11".
Right.
So good, dude.
That's hilarious.
I love Kevin, bro.
Yeah, and he was
dumb as
relentless.
hell.
He was relentless on it.
I'm surprised he's not still doing it.
Yeah, he used to
probably
say
is.
like my 3 foot by 3 foot cages.
Yeah.
He used to say I used to be able to climb into them to clean them, like 100% climb.
Like climb and
like
stand up and clean.
like
You're
a studio
reaching to clean the
apartment too, yeah.
ceiling.
Yeah, he's
That's
like,
hilarious.
he was like
Kevin's a
crazy
nut.
stuff,
Yeah, but the other opposite end of that is when I've met Shaq before.
He's huge.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. I
Yeah.
mean, let alone.
They're like, what plane they put him in?
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, you have to duck and get down to get out, and it's like,
everyone I know that knows him says he's a massive human being.
7'1", and he's not fat. I mean, the guy's. I mean, he's still
jacked,
at this age. He's in great shape, but he's probably in the 350 maybe.
Oh, yeah,
340
least,
range,
yeah.
and
Just because he's a giant.
But he's a
giant
great,
human
nice
being.
guy. Comes up and jokes with you, and was like, "What's going on?" And
That's what I've heard about Shaq. I've always heard that he will go and like treat the person on set. Andy told me this story. He said that Shaq would go to the person that was like the lowest on the set and go hang out with them to make them feel good. You know what I mean?
Genuine human.
Like
He's
he was
super
just
nice.
like
Right.
And obviously our buddy Greg that does the pond stuff he's built Shaq a few ponds, so
Who
he
else?
knows him well.
Big Rich,
And,
right?
Yeah, Big Rich.
Yeah.
Big Rich's wife was had some health issues, and Shaq did a really heartfelt
FaceTime and stuff.
FaceTime with her, and it's just a really nice human being.
Yeah, stuff that he doesn't even have to do, and people would still say he's nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The type of celebrity that I've noticed is, just from my short experiences, usually musicians tend to be a little bit like
edgy.
Yeah, they tend to just kind of be a little standoffish, a little like, give me my space, and I kind of don't blame them, like everybody comes in, they have certain rules that they want you to abide by, and
well, you know what I always say about musicians, probably more than any other celebrity, is that you got to remember when they're out, and I have friends that are big musicians, so like I've been around them, and like they don't even like grab a water. They're like, hey, I need a water.
You know what I mean? Like, different life.
And when you're talking about, especially a musician, either one that's young, that now for the last 2 or 3 years, at 22 years, is being treated like they're like they don't have to do anything. I mean, they probably don't even wipe their own butt. They're probably like, hey, come in here, wipe this thing. But then you also have the other side with the guy that's been doing it for 25 years.
Yeah.
Like, for 25 years, you have been literally, when you're on the road, they do your laundry, they feed you, they they teach you.
They go to the store for you, anything.
Yeah, literally, they treat you like you're the king of England. And so I'm not saying it's right for them to have an ego, but I'm saying you could see how that it could get in your head when all you're doing is being treated like you are the only thing that matters for X amount of years.
And I give them the benefit of the doubt too. I mean, imagine if you had a camera in your face, or like people like the paparazzi. I mean, I just can't imagine. I'm a big solo person. I need my me time to decompress. I just couldn't imagine always going out in public,
having to be on, right?
And you always have to be perfect. If you have if you come out and you look tired, they're all over you.
They're like, oh, is he doing drugs?
Right,
like,
exactly.
At night for Tom Cruise.
You know what they say? There's the 2 worst day in a celebrity's life is when they walk out the front door and there's no one there. And then they get really famous, and then they walk out the door and no one's there. Those are the 2 worst days of a celebrity's life. And that's what happens, is it peaks and valleys. But that being said, I had a friend of mine that had a very, very successful TV show, and he came to visit once, and we went out to dinner, and everyone, the chefs, everyone had to come take a picture with him. We went to Walmart. He's every person we walked by, he's very recognizable.
Went to Walmart?
Yeah, I went to Walmart because trust me.
Oh my God, is that you?
If you knew who this was, you'd know why we went to Walmart, because he's a Walmart guy.
I could.
He's like, he's.
I'm trying to click through in my head.
But anyway, so he was with us for a few days and stayed at our house and stuff like that. And real great guy, honestly, super good guy, and treated everybody we met with unbelievable respect and took the time. And he was a real humble dude. But I remember him getting back to my house, and at one point he said something like, he goes, it just sucks, man. I wish I could just go out and do something without getting it. And I literally stopped him. I said, stop right now.
Yeah.
I said, because you knew what you were signing up for, dude. And I said, and there will be a day, and now that day is here, by the way. There'll be a day where no one gives a shit about you, and you'll be waiting. You'll be going like, I wish I was back to those times, man. I said, so don't you complain to me.
Yeah, not yet.
And, listen, I think that I always say, obviously there are certain, like Shaq is Shaq. I mean, he can't go anywhere.
Yeah, he's not going to dress up in a different suit or something.
Well, he did it with that Jimmy, or the
You're right.
Papa John's commercial.
He's always got.
He went in there with a mustache.
The nose of the mustache. So good.
But I'm sure that was fake too. But my point is that there are certain people that it becomes a prison, right? Like Robert Downey Jr. can't live a life because he can't go anywhere without someone knowing him, and the list goes on and on, those types, Ozzy Osbourne, these type of people. But everyone else, they love it. And don't tell me you don't love it. You know what I mean? Like,
it's just people also love to complain. So like they're like, like, oh, I hate it, but it's more like you're saying I love it. You know what I mean?
I'm certainly nobody, but we get, I get recognized most time when I go out, someone will stop me. It's like there's never a time where I'm like, this is badass. I'm like, this is awesome. This
is so sick.
I literally went to freaking Auto. I went to AutoZone today.
No way, really?
And literally, the 2 cashiers at AutoZone were like, the one guy was like, well, of course it's down the street. So he's like, I love the Reptarium, dude, and he's like talking to me about like all this stuff. And it was super good, and they were super nice. Super nice people.
I went to the dispo yesterday, and somebody came up to me. He's like, my girlfriend loves you guys, man. I'm like, you gotta.
Speaking of that, did you see Puff is open?
Yes, dude. I haven't gone yet, but I gotta go. It's just been bumping, so I haven't gone over there. But it's a banger.
Yeah, these guys are all potheads.
I can't do that in this profession.
Yeah, I can't either.
Honestly.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, the boss is drug testing.
Lori drug testing.
What kind of drugs are we testing, Mr. Braun?
Yeah,
Let's do it.
I wish I could, but I don't.
Yeah, that's really fueled into like the hiring shortage that we have is you have to pass a drug test. And when I came here, I was unaware that
thought of
that recreational marijuana was legal.
Right.
I just figured everyone in my neighborhood was a pothead.
Right? Yeah.
Like, why does it always smell like skunks out here, man?
Man, it stinks.
A lot of skunks in this neighborhood.
Yeah, but I'm like, oh, whatever. And then I found out, and I'm like, man, this is why. But you get some people that'll apply for a job, and you'll see their drug testing results. You're like, holy cow!
You didn't have to smoke all the
just because it's you just drop the joint in and say, oh, here you go. But
they're just putting tinctures in.
But some people don't know, like just because it's legal, you still have to pass, and that's honestly been a huge barrier.
I think that's but it's like there's a shortage everywhere, man.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a million
there
things
definitely
added
is.
to
That
it,
just adds to it. That's
Yeah.
a complexity of the airport.
Yeah, but you
and the
definitely don't
aviation.
want people around aviation stoned.
No, yeah,
Really? You don't think so, huh?
Yeah.
But they're already high, man.
Yeah, like you don't want your pilot
No,
to
of
just be
course
off
not.
a 3-day bender. You know? It's like,
Yeah.
Guys, I'm still really hungover, so I'm going to try to do the best to catch some sleep on this flight.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put it on autopilot. We're gonna watch Cheech and Chogs up and smoke.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna put that on the
On the intercom,
the flicker player.
the
Right,
moving picture screen.
To say that's never happened would be a lie.
But I think that it's funny. I talk about like and it really is true. Once you fly first class, it's really hard to fly coach, right?
Yeah.
It really is.
Yep.
But I hear the same thing about private. Like once you fly private, it's really hard to fly.
You're like with
commercial.
people,
and it's really interesting. Like the price of, especially if you get a group of people. I mean, it's really comparable if you were to say charter your own flight. Like if you had a family of a big family of like 8-10 people that were willing to pay $600-700 a piece, you can charter your own private flight with your family for 2-3 hours.
Yeah, so like to LA, what would be a private charter?
That's a hard question to answer. It depends how big the airplane is.
Like it's 8-person plane.
So they charge usually by the flight hour, so that can be between like $4,000 to $8,000 a flight hour.
Not that bad.
Oh, for 8 people,
and that's 5 hours. Though. That's $20,000 then.
So
So that's a lot. Yeah.
Compared to would you pay $1,200, $1,000 for a first class seat? But the thing is with private is you pick the time you want to fly.
Yeah.
You
don't go through custom. You don't go through any of the TSA.
You go through a private terminal. You're going through. I mean, you can get through.
Have you ever seen the Troy Airport by any chance?
Is that the Willow Run?
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's up in that's out in like Yipsy.
No, this one is this. No,
okay.
this is a tiny little airport in Troy, Michigan, which is like 20 minutes away from here. Legitimately, I had one of the guys I do some business with, Reptile Prime. His like brother-in-law has like private like jets, and stuff like that. So but that you can't fly in with a private jet on this point, but you can prop planes like Cessnas and stuff like that. So this guy has like some jets. And then he has some Cessna-y type of things, like 5 passenger, 6 passenger, whatever it is. So he flew in one time there, and I didn't even know about it. He was like, "I'm flying into the Troy Airport. Can you pick me up?" I was like, "Okay, where the hell
Troy
is that?"
what?
Yeah.
And literally, you I'm not kidding. You drive down like a side street with houses, like residential houses, and there's a parking lot that looks like.
Is this over by 27 Mile?
No.
Okay,
It's like 14 in like John R.
Because I just saw another airport
like
like this in 27 Mile. Not even
and
kidding.
literally, it's like you're driving, and it's like you turn into what looks like a factory.
Yep.
But you pull up in the factory. What looks like a factory is like the terminal, and it's literally like just one little room.
Yep.
And then these people just fly in. It's like the runway is like a
trip.
driveway. You know what I mean? It's like I'm like I will never get on that plane ever.
And that's crazy. You take that a step farther. There's like neighborhoods in like Florida, Texas, where you have a bunch of
John
houses.
Travolta.
Yeah, houses that are connected to a runway, and your garage is a hangar with your airplane. So
These guys didn't believe me when I said John Travolta lived in a community like that.
He has his own. He has his own Qantas old plane, and he's his own pilot. And,
Dude, that must be so funny to be a fly on the wall, watch John Travolta get ready to fly a plane. I feel like that should be a movie.
Who did I just see? Rude Dog Reptiles. You know him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he actually just posted a picture with a friend of his with John Travolta.
No way.
So we have two. Mac. Mac. He's in our mod. His dad was on Welcome Back Kotter with John Travolta.
Okay,
So we have like 2 different ways to John Travolta.
I'm just saying that's got to be like
but
1.2 degrees.
for Mac, it's Uncle Johnny.
Yeah,
That's
Uncle
the
John.
Uncle John.
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many celebrities are actually like pilots and stuff like that, and they fly their own. But the most probably notable celebrity but he's for bad reasons is Harrison Ford. So he's had a couple incidences where I don't know if you should have a pilot's license.
Really? Because he drinks a lot, right?
I don't. It wasn't drinking related, but there was one time where he almost landed on a taxiway instead of a runway.
Oh shit!
Yeah, if you go and watch some of these like videos, they like deconstructed, and like he's had some really scary close calls.
Well, if you've seen any interviews with him lately, he seems like he's not quite all there.
Yeah,
like maybe he's getting a little senile. I think
it's probably age, maybe.
Yeah, because I've seen a couple of videos where I'm like, this dude is freaking nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like Nick Cage nuts. You know what I mean? Like,
love that.
Yeah.
Which right? Did you see that recent movie Nick Cage? It was like it's called Pig or something like that.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen the movie, but I just seen. I'm like, that is such a Nick Cage movie.
Nick Cage is funny. He'll do everything.
He'll do it.
He'll do anything.
Like you want me? I'm in.
It's like all right. So here's the idea. It's a Taco Bell, right?
Yeah.
And you're gonna work there. And he's like, yeah, I'm all down for it.
I'm in. Let's sign me. Do you know he used to keep cobras?
Yeah.
He was a big
I did
snake
not
guy.
know that.
Yeah, he was a big I'm talking like 100 cobras.
No way.
Yeah, Nick Cage used to be a giant snake guy. Yeah, just venomous snakes. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, punch that up. Nick Cage cobras. I just want to make sure I'm not spreading lies. But no, I think I've seen.
That's never stopped us before.
No. People are like, well, Brian said.
Nick Cage cobras. Let's see.
I'm telling you, seriously, it's like he kept cobras.
There's a picture of his face with it. Let's see.
See,
it
said 2 pet cobras.
Doesn't matter. That's enough.
But I think that's a lie because I've talked to people. I talked to a guy that used to work with Nick. He said he had like 100 of them. Like 100 cobras.
Crazy.
And only Nick would do that, huh?
Isn't that just so cool,
See,
though?
He talks about getting hypnotized by his cobras.
Ooh.
Tripping. What does it say? Tripping. He had to be tripping some balls, right? What is he saying?
Tripping with his cat and being more interesting than his therapist.
Oh, jeez.
What a good article, dude.
That's from the Fader.
That's a good one, dude.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Holy cow.
V-Dog says, are you going to get a mail for Ivy now? Sorry if you've answered this already. We should do that. Sounds like a really good idea.
It does. Maybe, if I'm wondering if she could watch the vlog a couple days ago.
And
maybe she would know the answer to that question.
But we don't know yet.
Yes, we actually. I'm screwing with you. Yes, we got a mail. His name is Taz or Jazz, not Taz.
Jazz,
whatever his name is. But yes, we have a mail.
And he just shut out.
And they bred.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, literally
awesome.
the same day. Yeah,
that's
ridiculous.
amazing.
Yeah.
Rachel says, speaking of king snakes from ages ago, is it bad to start a baby in its adult cage? Been researching, but it's hard to tell good info from bad. Much love.
Well, so yes and no. Mostly yes. And the reason I say that is usually when you put a small snake in a big cage, it gets stressed out. And why I won't say 100% no is there are exceptions.
Of course.
Some snakes do okay like that. So if you had a king snake and you were going to keep it in a 29-gallon as a baby, most likely it's going to stress out, not eat, and probably not do well. Not to mention it's going to look a little weird, right?
Yeah.
Got this
little
giant
worm.
29-gallon tank with a little tiny worm in it. But there are exceptions. And if it does
I think
well,
if you planted it out enough and you did enough to it, maybe it wouldn't feel so open, you know?
I mean, my suggestion would be start small and then work your way up to the adult cage. I think that's always going to be the best thing to do. But I don't want to tell you it can't work because I'd be lying if I said it. But I know when someone calls BHB and says, hey, my snake isn't eating, we always ask, what size cage are you? And they go, well, I got a baby ball python that's in a 29-gallon. Like, put it in a 10-gallon and it'll eat.
And it does.
And 99% of the time it eats.
And even look at the Bolin's python, right? When we got, as soon as you got it, we put it in a giant enclosure, like a huge enclosure. Didn't do well, and then now it's in like a nice size for it, and it does great. I mean, it's crushing food.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah,
getting big. Jacob says, sending love from Wisconsin. I want to come out to the reptarium so bad, just can't afford to make the trip. Just start walking.
Wisconsin, let's go.
Go Wisconsin.
Get over there, bud.
Drink some cheese.
Come on,
get
some curds, bud.
Is it the Cornhuskers? Is that what?
That's Nebraska.
That's Nebraska.
They're cheeseheads.
The Badgers. I'm not a college guy at all.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't even like school.
I didn't even want to go to kindergarten.
Education for idiots.
Yeah, I just that's one advice to everyone: don't go to school.
Don't go to kindergarten.
Don't go. I mean, if you can get out of third grade, just get out
dip
now.
out.
Yeah. I'm like Gary V.
Yeah.
If it was up to me, I'd quit at 8.
Yeah,
you know?
tell your mom she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about.
Tell her all you gotta do is lemonade stand and go garage hunting.
Garage sales, yeah, dude, he's so nuts. I love Gary. Bro.
I love Gary, but some of his advice is you know, it's
once in a lifetime chance.
Well, that's the thing.
Works,
I mean, listen, you know, this is the thing. You know, I mean, he's a great dude, man. I mean, I don't know,
and I love his
personally.
opinions on a lot.
Yeah, and he's great. And I mean, you know, I always say my only brush with Gary V is that he sent me a signed book of his thing, and I have no idea why. I don't know where he got my address from. Don't know anything about it.
For real?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, his book was called Crushing It. And I literally, before it was released, like 2 weeks before it was released, I got a book from him, and it just said, you know, best wishes, Gary V. Right. And I was like, wow, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it is.
And it was a great book, by the way, really good book. I suggest buying it. But my point is that, you know, he's a smart guy, hustler, you know, work porn, the whole shot. But he did, you know, he invested $200,000, which is a lot of money. Yeah. And that turned into hundreds of millions of dollars because he invested in Facebook and and you know, PayPal.
He had the right people telling him where to put his money.
So like, you know, like listen, you know, he told the story that he was like in a meeting where there was like 4 Facebook executives when they were just IPOing, and they convinced him to invest a couple $100,000 or something like that into their stock.
But to get into that meeting is how do you do that? That's not from garage sales. Let me tell you something.
No, exactly.
Right place, right time. One of those situations.
But that's the thing. He doesn't invest. You know, he invests in Nokia instead of Facebook, and he's where I'm at in life.
Fuck out of here. Yeah, straight up. Roses Bird says, ever been to the Florida Aquarium in Tampa? It normally takes me about 2 hours to get through, and I love it.
You've been from Tampa.
Yep. What is that? The Floral Gardens.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, something. I can't remember.
I've never been. That
name.
sounds cool.
Tampa. I actually have family down there, so it's.
I actually like Tampa.
I do too. St. Pete area is really nice.
What's
love Tampa.
Igor City?
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Igor City in Tampa? That's really cool.
And they got the Lowry Zoo too.
They did have just recently. They had like that red tide, so it's that algae.
Yeah, it was terrible. Paul Cafaro posted a bunch of stuff.
Oh, his video got big views.
Yeah, his videos got big views.
I couldn't imagine.
I mean, it's not like my tortoise screwing a shoebox,
but it's good views.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, he doesn't like big boxes. That was only a 6-quart tub, man. He likes the models.
Man, that grunting was the best.
The grunt
tortoises kill me, man, when they're doing that.
And then also it's like squeaking on the ground a little bit. It's just classic, dude.
Dude, I you know,
Speedy, right?
The best.
Yeah.
So Ari Manis, our friend who's a comic, posted on that thing. He said, "Is it wrong that I watched this video 3 times?"
He's gonna be on a list.
Then my response was, "It'd be wrong if you didn't."
Yeah, good response.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's a funny video.
That's a good video.
Jason came back and says, "Where does Chris work at an FBO? I worked a line for a few years between active duty and my current controller gig. Good times."
Yeah, so it was in North Dakota. I don't want to say the exact spot just because of confidentiality with the celebrities that have come through there. But in North Dakota, so in that area.
Oh, wow.
So
interesting.
Yeah, so I worked there, and that was honestly my first intro into aviation when I was still in college.
Yeah.
So
wow, good intro.
Yeah, it was great. It was a lot of good experience, and yeah.
Did you ever fly a private jet?
Actually, I have. When you working there, you got really good friends with the pilots that had airplanes based there. So I'm not sure if you're. There's a lot of big businesses actually that are stationed out there, like banks and retailers and stuff. But they would invite you if they would fly and drop off somebody down in Arizona or something in Phoenix for the winter.
Hey, fly with us.
Yeah, he's like, hey, you can fly right seat with me, and so
that'd be dope.
So
and half the time you're just sitting there, and then
sometimes you like press that button.
No,
press that button.
Let me land
Can I
this
take
one.
the stick? They call it a stick, right? Is that what they call it? Or yoke?
Yoke.
Yeah. Let me take the yoke.
Yeah.
See, I'm all about pilot stuff.
Yeah,
I know how to.
exactly.
What was the engine thing again? I forgot.
Spoiling up.
Spoiling
or down.
up. Yeah, I got the spoiling up. I got the yoke.
Yeah,
I'm damn near.
If I just liked flying, I'd be a pilot.
You got the headset down. You can talk in a mic.
Exactly. The weather outside's about. When we land, it's going to be about 70.
But you'd be like the weather in Prince Albert or Prince Edward Island. It's rainy right now.
That's the only weather I know. It's the only weather I know is in Prince Edward Island.
Christopher says, "Hey guys, it's the Carpenter from 2.0. What's up, Chris?"
Man, what's up, Chris?
Says I'll be down there in 2 weeks. Might pop in to say hello. Also looking for any tips on taming down my northern white lip. It's a killer.
Yeah, first off, Chris, he was a beast,
rock star.
man.
Yeah.
Dude, we need you so bad for this next expansion. So when we do it, please come down.
Yeah.
He was just a beast. He was really a cool dude. You know, white lips are a little. Have you ever worked with white lips?
I've never worked with them. I've seen them, and they can be a little wild. Yeah.
They're touchy. You know, we have northern and a southern.
Yep.
Both are okay. Both will bite you.
Yeah.
But you can handle them.
You can handle them, but they are just not typically. It's hard to tame them.
Yeah.
I mean, my advice to you, Chris, is just keep trying, but realize you're probably going to get bit a lot, and that it may never come. They're very defensive.
Get some
snakes.
F5 generations will be good.
Yeah,
but
I think
right now,
I think that's the thing. I think the more they're captive bred, which is not happening very often anymore.
Exactly.
Ironically enough, there was more captive bred animals back in the early '90s than there are now.
Really?
Yeah, because a lot of people I was breeding the shit out of them back in the early 90s.
They're from Australia?
No,
Or
they're
Indo,
yeah, Indonesia.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, like I was breeding the crap out of them, but no one wanted the babies. So I stopped breeding them because I couldn't sell the
and
babies.
now people love them.
I mean, they were like $75 for captive bred babies back then. Now they're like $1,500 a pair.
Yeah, because they're sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy with like the reptile stuff where like corn snakes. I feel like a couple years ago were like $5-10 wholesale.
Yeah, now they're
and
like $100.
Like colubrids have blown up, and it's gargoyles, cresteds. I mean, everything right now. And it's hot. It's all good stuff. So
yeah, gargoyles. We've got a lot of gargoyles. As a matter of fact, I don't even want to look at our gargoyles, to be honest with you, because I'm letting Jessica just decide what to sell. I mean, we have
so sick.
almost all of the ones we hatched this year are ridiculous.
It's just
ridiculous
striping and the red and everything, and that's one thing that I'd like to get more of. I only have a couple of gargoyles, but
I know we have some,
and I love when they're babies and they have that purple and orange tones to them.
Crazy.
So sick.
Yeah,
dude.
we worked with a lot of that Deadpool and Dracula line, tiki stuff.
Yeah,
they're some of the nicest animals. And then we have another line.
Some other red line.
Other red line that is really, some of our animals are nicer from that red line than they are Deadpool or Dracula. And we found for us, I think Deadpool, our nicest gecko is probably Deadpool.
Yeah.
But our Dracula line is producing prettier babies than Deadpool babies, to be honest with you. So,
which is crazy.
But we're hatching some crazy stuff.
Yeah, awesome.
Jessica's done a great job, and obviously the gecko room. Did we take you in the gecko room?
No, I'll check it out.
Yeah,
after
check it. Yeah, there's only a couple geckos in there now, but we'll show you the room at least. Yeah,
the lily white I saw you guys just got.
Yeah, buddy Ryan, who's going to be up next weekend.
I think
not next weekend, the following weekend.
Okay, I'll check it out because he just messaged me actually.
Yeah, I think it's so he's going to be up. What day is it? It is next weekend.
Yeah, I think you're right because he said you guys got to get baby Kush out.
He's
next
from
week.
Tampa too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So.
And Jenny says, "Good job and just throwing some love. We appreciate you, Jenny."
Thank you, Jenny.
Who else we got? We got Scottish Rob came back and says, "Any idea of anyone working with Trinidad boas?"
Man, it's I have not seen Trinidad.
I've never
boas
even heard of one.
Yeah, they're an interesting boa. But gosh, I mean, I would say the guy to talk to would be Vin Russo. I don't know that Vin would work or has worked with Trinidad, but he works with all of those crazy boas. I would think he'd be the guy to talk to for sure.
Jason says, "I went to UND for a time too. Familiar for sure."
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, it's a smaller university, but I mean, there's like 14,000 and pretty much in Canada. So I mean,
the
winters
right
up there are
brutal,
nothing compared to what here even. And so
really.
Yeah, it's the average temperature year round and where I went to school is like 54 degrees.
What?
But it also
in North Dakota.
Yeah, but it also has one of the widest temperature swings in a year in the continental U.S. where it can get 100. Like 1 year it got like 102 in a day, and then in the winter it got down to like negative 35, 40 before wind chill. So it
does equal out.
It puts
to like
hair
50.
on your chest going, working outside out there, and then just being up there alone and flight training. And so it's
my daughter works for Enterprise Corporate now.
Yep.
But her first, like when she got out of college and got hired, they hire everyone as like management and training. That's how the system works. So you have to work at the airport as a trainer.
Oh, okay.
So she spent, unfortunately, her time was at the airport during winter at Enterprise Rental Car, and she was an outside 8 hours a day outside, and it was the coldest and snowiest winter on record.
That's the worst.
That particular winter was the snowiest.
That's that good old Barczyk look.
And she was out there, and now she obviously works in the office stuff. She doesn't rent cars or anything like that. But the only person she rents cars to is me.
That's true.
She hates it.
Yeah, she
it's
does.
like, Dad, don't call me when I.
You're like, but baby girl, I raised you.
Rent from Hertz.
Yeah. V-Dog came back and says, yeah, my bad. I'm going to binge watch after the podcast. Thank you for not roasting me too bad. I'm working on a COVID vaccine helpline and working crazy hours, so I'm working less, so going to stay updated.
That's cool. That's awesome.
And we were just
I was just
joking.
messing with you, V-Dog. You
Much
know
love.
that. We always love you. And COVID vaccine helpline. Wow, that's
I
don't
know.
be interesting.
What does that mean?
Maybe questions on symptoms. Or something like that. But.
That's interesting how a job like that would become available, right? I mean, you know what I mean? That's the thing that's interesting is there's been so many unique job opportunities that have aroused. Right. I knew people that, would work in the vaccine centers that, there was a lot of extra money that there was just a side gig for them. And it's crazy.
Wild how different industries pop out of.
But I can only imagine.
Events.
I wouldn't want to be on the line with. That's some polarizing shit with the vaccine. You know what I mean?
And I feel like all the people that wouldn't really give you a hard time have already been vaccinated. So I feel like anyone you're going to get a call from.
Well, that's one of the things they were talking about with this. Have you heard about this new Merck pharmaceutical?
No.
That is basically an antiviral.
Is that a pill?
It's a pill.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's like Tamiflu for the flu, but for COVID.
Yep.
And they were talking. I was watching CNBC. And because that's really the only news I watch is financial news, and they were talking about the people that haven't been vaccinated, would they take a pill?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or are they going to be the same thing? Like, you can't make me take a pill.
Chips in the pill.
Yeah, you can't make me take that pill.
I wonder, that'd be curious too. It depends on what's in it, I guess. And
I'll take ivermectin, pretend. Let's just say it's that.
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not going to lie. I mean, every medicine I've ever taken, I don't take much, but I don't know what the hell's in any of it.
Yeah.
I'm not a scientist. I'm not a chemist.
I don't ask the doctor, can you break down the ingredients?
But I know aspirin works for a headache.
Right. Yeah. Everyone's got their PhD in bullshit nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nowadays,
doctor, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's so annoying.
I just
listen to scientists.
I listen to scientists. That's exactly
people that make my cell phone work. I'm going to listen to them over anybody.
Yeah, I'm not going to listen to the guy that just has a 50,000
corn straw hat.
I've got 50,000 followers on Instagram. I know more than you. I know more than freaking.
I know more than doctors.
Dr. Gottlieb.
2 hours of research.
Lever's Bird says Florida Aquarium was so cool because they have free flying birds, cypress swamp, lemurs, otters, touch tanks, lots of stuff. It's worth a look. I think my mom actually went there because I remember she showed me the otter thing.
That's cool, man. That's
a banger.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I've been down in the Everglades and did the jet boats.
They're cool, man.
Sweet, yeah.
Yeah, I was a little freaked out the first few seconds, as you're taking off. You're
feels
like, what
a little weird.
Yeah, it's weird because you're floating and you kind of go sideways, but then once you get into it,
it's like drifting.
It's right?
Cool. Yeah, funny story. When I was in Mexico, I did one of those as well, and we actually this was before when I was trust me.
This is the guy in the back of the boat blowing.
It just where are we? No say,
exactly.
But we were. I don't remember exactly where in Mexico, but this was before I had a fear of snakes. Before I started to kind of understand them. But I was only about 8 years old, and we went over this tree, and there was I don't remember what type of boa it was, but it was a boa in this branch, and it fell into the boat.
Oh my gosh!
And I've never seen someone almost jump in the water, and the other guy's like no, and he just. I mean, sadly enough, he just grabbed it and launched it.
Yeah, that's probably fine.
I mean, but still, I was like, there was wet pants, from everybody. Yeah,
oh my
but
gosh.
it was. It was probably. I think it was like a 4 foot. Whatever.
Probably,
but it was. That was still like the most traumatic experience for a lot of people. But that was crazy. I just was like, I'm good. Let's go home.
Oh my gosh,
back to the resort.
But those airports are fun though. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've only been on them a couple times, but they were fun.
Yeah, I had a blast.
Yeah, I actually strapped a GoPro once on the one we were going on, and they had told me that how many people have lost their GoPros.
Oh, for sure.
That have done that.
Yeah.
But I had like a super clamp. It's called a super clamp. And I was like, this thing ain't blowing off, man.
Did you hear me? I said super clamp.
This is
not just a clamp.
You say just a clamp, you idiot.
Yeah. It was only mega clamp approved.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I didn't get the mega clamp yet. It wasn't out when I bought the GoPro.
Right.
Rachel says, thank you for all your help. I'll go small for the start for sure. I'll be waiting for a 50-50 black and white Cali King from BHB, of course.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And I think you're going to be better to do that. You can even you can have the big tank and then put a small tank inside the big tank.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? That way you still have the big tank. If you
could decorate it and stuff, and then put the little one
and
inside.
then ultimately when it starts getting bigger, then you just take the lid off the small one and it crawls into this big one, and now it's already familiar with it and stuff like that. So that's something that's a trick that you can do.
And then that's what I got right now, Mr. Brian.
That's what you got right now. So let's see. So for me, flying, I like flying on big planes. You know what I mean? Like big planes are cool.
Yeah.
Because like the smaller the plane, to me, am I wrong? It's just more turbulent.
Yeah, it's the weight. I mean, it's like driving a
big rig
a
versus
Kia down a windy day on a highway versus a semi. You get the full experience when you fly on a small airplane, and
you get the full experience.
I like it. I get you.
Oh yeah.
And obviously you'd hate it, but some of the things you do in flight training is called like spin training. So you go into like a small Cessna and you do a controlled spin.
Yeah.
And it's basically you stall out. And there's stall training
So
where you experience zero gravity. So you'll basically stall the airplane, pitch the nose, and then it stalls out and you experience zero gravity for a very short time. You'd hate it.
No, I hate it.
I like both. I like the experience.
Stop talking.
Yeah, the big airplane.
All right, thanks for joining us, guys.
This podcast's been great.
Yeah, they're great guys, right? Yeah. But each offers their own different experience. But typically, people feel more comfortable on a bigger airplane. If you ever get a chance, look at the size of the engines of an airplane that's carrying you overseas versus the plane that's carrying you, domestically most of the time.
Yeah.
It's almost twice the size difference.
Yeah.
And,
that's just
to be able to see that up close and in person is crazy.
Yeah.
But either way, I mean, for an airplane to be designed to cross the ocean or be in open water, they have to have what's called an ETOPS certification.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to be able to fly on one engine for, I believe it's 180 minutes.
Okay.
Wow.
So the aircraft, it's not just anybody can go and fly it. The aircraft has to be certified, rated. So if your fear of that is, smaller aircraft, because we are gearing towards smaller airplanes flying international with the efficiencies of the engine.
I hate that. I hate even hearing that.
Yeah, so the days of the big Emirates aircraft are in the 747 are very slowly.
747s,
yeah. And
even the Dreamliner. I flew on the Dreamliner once. Beautiful.
Great airplane.
Oh my gosh! And now I hear they're phasing most of those out.
Yeah, so those will be around for a long time. But you're definitely gearing towards more twin engine, which I know some people are very
I don't care about the engines at all.
Yeah.
I just care about the amount of seats.
Yeah. So
like if you have like three and then 4 in the middle, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But if you have 3 and 3, I don't want to fly to Europe with 3 and 3.
The cool thing when you go into those smaller planes is they don't, if you very, very small, like communities will have airplanes that have smaller planes that, are their air service, and they don't have a door in the cockpit, so you can see everything inside. You see what the pilot's doing. You see what's in front of the pilot. So it kind of is almost settling to some people to see that versus in a big plane, the door's shut and you're just in a big plane, and
your equilibrium gets the best of you sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So there's definitely pros and cons to both, I think. But if you don't want to be in a big plane that has a ton of people, obviously that's the other downside of it. If you look at it that way.
See, I don't mind that at all. I just, like I said, I would fly like out of my way to fly, even in like a 6 seat, like 3 and 3 aisle, then like a 2 and 2.
Yeah.
Like I'd fly out of my way to be in the like what are the A320s or something like that, whatever they're. Instead of those little freaking like Ember Airs or whatever. I hate those Ember Airs.
It's everyone's got their own preference and everything like that, so it's always interesting. But I guess the big thing too is there's tips for for flying and everything like that.
Give them to me.
So biggest things that I always travel with, if it's a day trip or a one night trip, always have a spare set of clothes with you. If you have a backpack or a carry on, always have a light jacket or a spare set of clothes. Always have multiple backup power sources to power your phone. But the other thing too, a lot of people don't do is bring snacks.
Yeah.
So you can't bring X amount of liquids through. Sure. But every time I travel, I bring an apple, a protein bar, and then like beef jerky because.
Lori makes fun of me.
She likes sticking up the plane, man.
No. Lori makes fun of me because I'll take beef jerky. She's like, "Don't open that."
I don't take I don't bring a whole bag. I'll bring just a stick, obviously, and then like trail mix, just something that can keep you full. Because if you get in that situation where you enter a holding pattern or you get somewhere late or something's delayed, you might not have an option for food, and then obviously that can really be just brutal.
Triggering and stuff too.
But, the other thing is always be nice and courteous to your crews, like your flight crews. So even like your gate agent, because your gate agent can control a lot of things certain times when if
so the
something's
gate
delayed.
agent is the one that's at the terminal.
Yep. So
Not the one that you check your bag in.
Yeah, so basically, sometimes in smaller airports they do both. So they'll do both and work their way up. But the gate agent really specifically, because they can help you in many ways, and they know who you are if you're not nice, and they'll be less inclined to help you. And a lot of times they'll go out of your way to help you if you're nice. So that's definitely.
I know
the
that like the travelers, is this still the case? Like travelers used to talk about like bringing chocolate to the gate agent. I mean, do they still accept that stuff or?
Yeah, they'll accept it. I don't think they'll ever turn it down, but I don't know how far it'll get
chocolate,
you.
Brian.
Can I get that lay down seat? Here's a box of Whirlers.
I know it's $10,000 more.
Yeah.
But no one's in business class.
You might be able to pull it over on the flight attendant. You might. I mean, if you're really nice and you say, hey, I'm just curious, is there any chance I could hop up there? They may.
I got
chocolate.
Yeah.
I got chocolate.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I got in my back pocket?
It's a melted Hershey bar.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's usually typically frowned upon. I mean, they're trying to do their job and, coordinate that. They don't need somebody, harping on them about moving up. And so,
well, I've never been, I've never had the guts to ask, actually.
I've tried it.
Yeah, have you?
Just once. And I just felt like a dick after.
Yeah,
I was like,
they were like, no. And you're like,
I tried to throw a little weight around, like, it'd be really cool if I could go up there. And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry.
All right, my bad. I'm so sorry. I'll shut down.
You get back there. You get back there to
I'm
your
like,
peon seats.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, I'll get the garbage in the
I'll throw some
That's that
I'll throw
Midwest
some
nice.
peanuts after you. I'll throw the peanuts at you in an hour.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Right.
There's not, I'll tell you the other thing that is like, when I get nervous, I have to pee more.
Yep.
I think most people do. And, but so like the worst thing is like when you're like, the seatbelt signs on and you got to piss, and you just can't get up,
Right.
It's like, that's always the worst thing, right?
Yeah, Kay and Peele actually made a really funny skit about that.
Really?
Yeah, you'll have to check it out sometime.
Oh,
it's really funny, but yeah, it's a battle. You got to pick and choose, and then you'll get one person that'll go up there and take 30 minutes to do whatever, and half the time they're
do whatever, exactly.
Yeah,
I don't want
their makeup or whatever, and
I think it's whatever.
I think my biggest pet peeve is if and this might sound bad, but when you're flying first class, there's 2 bathrooms, and if certain flight attendants will enforce it, some won't, but people will come up from coach and use it.
Right,
and,
yeah.
I always kick them back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, listen, you pee
whoa.
Yeah.
Well, see this
my
curtain,
shit don't stink.
This curtain separates
You're lucky
us.
we let you pee at all,
Yeah.
You get back in the back.
Yeah, but to have that traffic, you pay for that
convenience.
Yeah, exactly. So that's about the only thing. But yeah, I agree. I've had a couple like where you're sitting there. Like,
you are so stuck up, man. I didn't know.
You should bring me with you.
Jay, I didn't know we were bringing on someone like this. I apologize to everyone that's listening. I apologize to everyone.
Peasant water. Where's my
Evian?
Yeah, exactly.
Where's my Evian water at?
Hell yeah.
No, but I do agree with you. I mean, that is some of the perks, and I realize. Listen, to me, most of the flights that I go on are like, if it's like $500 and first class is $1,000. To me, for $500 for me, because I'm anxious about flying, because it's not a pleasant experience, for me to be able to get on a plane, immediately start watching movies when we're on the tarmac, so I don't have to wait till we get in the air. I can, have a drink in my hand, not alcohol because I don't drink, but have an orange juice in my hand. I've got a nice, decent sized seat. Also, when you're up in the air, you're a half hour into the flight, 45 minutes of flight, you got a meal that's actually served to you, a hot meal. That takes up time. Right. By the time you're done eating, if you're flying to LA, by the time you're done eating and everything else, you're now 2 hours into your flight, and that's kind of, to me, that's worth the extra money. Right. Will I pay $10,000 more? No, I can't. But yeah,
it's a select few that obviously will do that, but definitely that's one of the things is you just gotta evaluate, is it worth it to you? You know what I mean? Do you like that privacy? Do you like all those extras? Does it benefit you from a financial standpoint to do that? And if not, then you go about it. And so.
But I think the private planes are another thing that I think I wouldn't like as much because they're smaller. And they're kind of erratic,
if you got the money, you can buy a private plane that's the size of an airliner. That's the thing. And
well, come on, I have the Reptarium for God's sake.
Right, yeah.
I'm not freaking John Travolta.
You could definitely get your money's worth, but and a lot of the time too, those private jets. I mean, just the comfort of traveling alone or very secluded. It kind of you kick your feet off, do whatever you want.
Overweighs sometimes.
When you're flying, I've never flown in one, but is it more bouncy or is it like
not really? You can fly at certain times. sometimes at a higher altitude. So
yeah, that's what I've heard, that the private jets, yeah, I hear they're faster and they fly at like 42,000 feet or something, which is usually above most of the weather.
One of the craziest stories, actually, this, I don't remember who she was, but she was a billionaire from somewhere in Europe. She flew through, and I was talking to her pilots, and she would request to fly at a lower altitude because of like the oxygen levels. She believed that she felt better when she flew lower than she did higher, but in doing that, you burn more fuel, you have to stop. So it would cost her almost like 2 times the amount of money to fly at this lower altitude. Than
she was like, she didn't care.
Yeah, I've always thought, I'm like, wow, man, that's fuck you money.
That's really
I mean, that
crazy,
is that's absurd.
Yeah,
but,
it's like, no, we're not going to go at 42,000 miles. You know,
it was like a crazy low altitude
really
too.
Crazy.
Yeah, like not like, you know, like 4,000 feet, but normally when you're cruising on a long flight like that, you can get up to like 40,000 feet. Yeah. But she would go at like 22, 23,000 feet because she
because even the jetliners are usually 30 or 35.
Yep. Usually 30s depending on the length. So that was just crazy.
That's the other thing I think. I mean, do the pilots always try to get out of turbulence? Or just say screw it.
Yeah, especially if they can. Sometimes it's just unavoidable. So they'll a flight path will avoid weather, obviously, and that can cause turbulence. But I mean, it's not fun for them, and it's something that they try to avoid. But when you're like over the ocean, obviously you can't avoid it. Or if you're going to
certain things happen.
Yeah, you can't go into a certain airspace, so you kind of have to take it in limits. But weather's the biggest one that they fly to avoid.
Yeah,
that's the biggest.
Yeah, I know when the last flight I was on, actually, we were flying back from Mexico, and we were probably, it was another thing where like we took off, and he was like, about an hour from now, the pilots have been reporting some pretty severe turbulence, and it looks like it's from 10,000 feet all the way to 40-something thousand feet, so we can't avoid it.
Yeah.
He said it shouldn't last long, but just be aware or something like that. And sure enough, we hit that shit, and it was like gong show.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was like gong show for like a good solid 5. It was only like 5 minutes, but 5 minutes of like shaking around like you were in a whatever, and then unfortunately it cleared up, and then he said the same. He said, it looks like about an hour from now we're going to hit about the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
And we did again.
Yep.
Now, I'll never forget, I told Jay this. I mean, like Lori's coffee, like literally hit the ceiling. The whole shot. I mean, it's like just like crazy turbulence.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've just been unlucky. I've been on a lot of turbulent flights.
Sure. Yeah, and a lot of the percentage of like in air like injuries are from turbulence related. So like the scary ones are if you can't see it and people are unbuckled or even scary. You'll have a flight attendant with a big, beverage cart, and they hit it, and that
it goes flying forward.
Right, and it's happened. There's videos of it.
Break your arm if you had your arm like in the aisle or something.
But that's the scariest stuff. I mean, if you don't foresee it coming, and if you get a little bump, usually most pilots they err to the side of caution. Or if they feel a little something, they'll be like, "All right, seatbelt sign on. Everybody sit down," and they'll let the crews know, like, "Hey, let's hold off for a bit," and then.
I hate when pilots get on and say, we're going to tell the crew to sit down for a few minutes. No. Like, wait a second. No, because I always think as long as the crew is standing up, it can't get that bad.
Yeah.
It's when they buckle in or when you're coming in for a landing. Weirdly enough, landings don't bother me as much, even if they're turbulent. Because I think I'm like, well, I'm going to be on the ground. In 10 minutes, I'll be on the ground no matter how shitty this is going to be. Yep. But I hate it when pilots are like, yeah, we're going to have the flight attendants sit down a little early for this because we're going to have a little bit. And I'm like, you suck. I hate you.
Just stand.
And I've heard, is this true? I've heard that because of the way the weather systems are, that flights are becoming more turbulent.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I definitely believe with more winter storms. So the biggest thing, too, is they can become obviously a little shorter, too. You have to look at the inverse. So when, like, the jet stream is blowing like crazy and you're flying eastbound, your flight can be, especially if you're going from, like, say, New York to Europe, it seems like every year they're setting a new record as far as time because of
when I flew back from China last year, or not last year, a couple years ago, they said it was the quickest flight they'd ever had.
COVID back?
Yeah, literally said they said it was the quickest flight they'd ever made.
Yep.
No way, really?
Yeah, we were on the flight. It was like an hour and 15 minutes shorter than they projected.
Wow.
Yep. And
we arrived like an hour and 15 minutes.
And it's the inverse westbound. So you fly westbound, you're obviously usually adding some time because you're flying into the wind, you know, and so that definitely makes the big stream. So that's definitely a difference. But weather has definitely become complex. So obviously with all these storms, and you see down south, and then the winter storms. And,
right. Yeah, I remember flying to LA once, and I'll never forget the how people freaked out about it. It was actually, ironically enough, a super smooth flight. But we get in, and normally the flight is 4 hours and 50 minutes. That's 55 minutes some days and stuff like that. We get in, and literally as the pilot comes on, he's like, we've got some pretty massive headwind on this one, and it was going to take 6 hours and 10 minutes. So it added like an hour and 15 minutes to the flight.
Crazy.
And I'm thinking, like, I was kind of panicking because I'm thinking, like, oh my gosh, we got this heavy headwind. So we're going to be bouncing around like crazy. Interestingly enough, it was like one of the smoothest flights I've ever had.
Really?
But it took us an hour and 15 minutes longer.
Wind.
Really strong headwind.
Adds a lot.
But yeah, on the way back, it's like 4 hours and 15 minutes. You
Right.
got almost an hour off.
Yeah, it's really crazy now with aviation. We're hitting the point of how far is too far, how long is too long on an airplane. So like pre-COVID, Qantas was looking at doing a Perth to New York route.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And they did a test flight on it where actually Sam Chu was on it.
Yeah, the double sunrise, right?
Yep. And it was, I think it was 18. It's booked in around 19 hours, but because they only flew with X amount of people, it was like 18 hours, 15 minutes.
That's crazy, man.
I just, even in first class, or even because it's going to be an all business class product, premium product, I couldn't make it work. I think when I fly, I think even when I want to fly to Dubai, I don't want to knock it out all in one hit. I'd like to fly over to like Amsterdam, Paris, London, lay over a couple hours stretch, go to the lounge, shower, and then take the rest of it, split it in half type of thing. So, but when you have a business traveler, I mean, that's a whole different story. They want to be there, get their business done, and then hop back. So pay that premium.
My longest flight was Atlanta to Joburg.
Oh yeah, that's
like 6 hours and 10 minutes. Yeah, in the air.
Yeah, the 16 hours.
16 hours in the air. Yeah,
longest Delta flight. that they offer. It's crazy.
It's a long flight.
It's a haul.
I'll be totally honest with you. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
To me, it was worth it. Because I had done the stopover in Senegal or in Shiful or whatever, and to me, I just like to. It was kind of nice just to bang it out, man. Just get on that flight, and I remember the flight attendant coming on and going like, "It's pretty short flight time today, 6 hours and 9 minutes." And you're 16, like 16 hours and 9 minutes, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" But you got so much. Like the first 6 hours goes by pretty quick. And then you do look at that little time thing, and you're like, 10 hours.
I haven't even been
half.
half.
And you got to remember, I don't sleep on a plane.
See, that's the biggest.
So that's the problem. If I could sleep, I mean, I remember flying to Australia with a group of people years back, and this one guy literally, we took off in L.A. Took off. He fell asleep by the time we were at cruising altitude, and he woke up on landing.
That's crazy.
15 hours. I couldn't sleep for 8 hours. Well, he didn't take anything because that's what we were talking about.
Sure.
And because another guy in our group took melatonin, and it just gave him a headache the whole time.
No way.
He had never taken melatonin before, so he took it. And
not a good time to try.
Yeah, he took it, and he said he couldn't sleep, and he just had a massive headache.
No.
And he was like, that was the worst flight ever. And I was like, oh my gosh. But I can't take anything, and I can't sleep. So
that would be the biggest thing is if I could sleep 6-7 hours of it, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. But I like getting out, stretching my legs, and I like airports too. So to get to walk around and see what it's like, and then get on another flight. So that's
the only downside to some of those long flights. Whether it's Japan, obviously you've been to. I mean, that's a 12-hour flight, and like when you go to Indonesia, at least the way I went with Japan Air, you've got to fly 12 hours to Tokyo, and then it's 8 hours to Jakarta after that. So you've just got off a 12-hour flight. Now you got to get back on an 8-hour flight. Those are two long-ass flights.
Yeah.
By the time you're done, you're like, I hate this.
You never want to go back. Yeah. You're like, oh, I'm halfway around the world from home.
But, I always say it's necessary evil. It's like to get someplace that's so amazing is worth it,
Right.
I mean, even Hawaii, 11 hours,
And that's what I try to tell people when they're anxious of flying. I said, the biggest thing is think of where you're going and think of what you're going to do, whether that's vacation, seeing family or friends, just always.
It's worth it.
Vision that what you're going for and vision that in the end,
And the pioneers that had to take 6 months to get 2 states away.
We're time traveling now, So I think it's again, I can't wait till COVID is over and we can freely travel because there's a ton of places I want to knock out that I can't wait to do. But anyways, so do we have any last super?
Yeah, Sherry says Peter Pisani asks how your zoo makes money. He wants to open one in San Diego. Chris, where in Canada did you train at? And for Lori's Art Fund in Slothopus.
Thank you. I'll let you answer first.
Yeah, so it wasn't in Canada. It's about as north of the states as you can get to Canada.
North Dakota,
Yeah, so it was, and I was on the northern part. So I was about, hour and a half south of Winnipeg. So
that's
Canada.
Not far.
That's
It was like
there.
45 minutes from the border. So
yeah, and as far as making money, I mean, listen, it's no matter, I mean, obviously we make money from people coming to the zoo,
Yeah.
But I really, it's very difficult for me to say that what the success of the Reptarium could be duplicated. I don't know. It could be. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Could I even duplicate it? Could I even open up another one in Florida,
Somewhere else,
let's say,
yeah.
and it be a success? I don't know the answer to that, And I mean, I would say to your friend, number one, it's a big risk, because if you're going to do it, you figure...
Most reptile zoos aren't the Reptarium. Is really what it is, right?
And you got to remember that when you're talking about animals, enclosures, build out, we have probably $1.2 million into the Reptarium, right? So, does your friend Chris have to do it? Let me put it this way: if you were to open up a reptile zoo for $100,000, you're going to fail.
Yeah,
100% of the time you're failing. If you do it and spend $1 million and have $1 million to spend in risk and stuff like that, you're still taking a huge risk. Because a reptile zoo isn't something that everyone wants to go to. And San Diego is a little bit weird too, because there are a lot of reptile pet shops in San Diego
that are dope,
and in all the way through SoCal. Whereas in Michigan, there are virtually no reptile pet shops, right? There's a couple, but not many. And so we're not competing with like people that just walk into a reptile store and see some dope ass reptiles for free,
right?
And we also offer experiences and do things, but I don't know that I could have been as successful. Number one, if I didn't have the social following I had, and number two, I think if we didn't have the experience with the animals and the cool animals we have, right? Like, that was something that took a lifetime to get to.
I was gonna say, because the connections and people that you knew and all that stuff too,
So I think that, we have our Perditas, we have our Ben and Jerry's, we have our albino alligators, we have, I mean, the list goes on and on, our Elvis and this, we have all these really special animals that's why I've always been when I first opened the Reptarium, I thought I would open up more, in different cities. And that's why I've been kind of adverse to doing that, is because I don't think I could put the stars, which are the animals, I don't think I could put that line up together again. Like, I don't think I can make another Reptarium with the same cool animals.
Yeah, with the replicate the experience.
I could have another cow retic. I could have another.
But it ain't gonna be Perdita.
But it isn't going to be the same.
Yeah,
They're not going to be the same, and it might take 5 years to get the right animals to make it work.
Right.
So I think it is listen, I think everyone that wants to do it should try.
Yeah.
But it is probably a bigger risk. Listen, every single financial person I knew, both in the zoo community and successful people, told me I was going to fail. They said, there's no way this is going to work.
It's a bad idea.
It's a bad idea. You're just going to waste your money.
It's a passion project.
Yeah, it's a passion
project.
Right? It's what everyone told me. It's a passion project, meaning that this is where you throw money, that you're going to lose it all, but you still love it, so it doesn't matter. And that's what I did. I did think about it as a passion project, and then it turned out to be an extremely successful passion project. And we couldn't, in our wildest dreams, expected the success that we've seen here. Can you duplicate it? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. Like I know Emily has her zoo up in Minnesota now. I don't know if that's doing well or not. I don't follow it enough to know. And is she crushing it or I don't know.
Right.
And she has a big social following to boot. So, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Do you think you'd have the Reptarium? I mean, think back to pre-snake bites days.
Yeah.
I mean, even before you even jumped on YouTube, if you never would have gone on YouTube and you were just breeding snakes, do you think you still would have made that same switch to like, I'm shifting away from?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I always kind of wondered, like,
I mean, I think that this was always the dream,
right,
even back when I bred snakes.
Sure.
But I don't think that if I wouldn't have done YouTube and social, I would have felt confident enough to make that, because what happened for us is the first probably 6 months that the Reptarium was open, it was really our following that was coming to visit.
Yeah.
And then it became a local thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens now. When you were upstairs, you see, I mean, don't get me wrong. We have obviously our VIP here from West Virginia. We have, people
a ton of people.
We have people from Iowa that were here, a bunch of different people. But the 90% of the people that are here tonight are within an hour drive from range. And that's something that I never would have expected would have happened. Sure. But I don't think that if I didn't have the social following to start with, I would have had the guts to do it. Even though this was always the dream, even beforehand.
Sure.
But I don't think I doubt I would have been able to.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Rachel says, just for fun, when I was a kid, I was told that garter snakes weren't venomous. And being a kid, I thought that meant that I couldn't bite at all, so I'd be chasing them around with zero fear.
That's true.
Cute little story.
And see, when you have zero fear, that's when you don't get bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
And then LOL says, you guys want to talk about alligator snapping turtle care?
I mean, they're pretty simple.
As I say, the United States takes care of them. It could be
no, they're pretty simple. I mean, obviously water quality is important. Making sure that you've got a filtration system that's going to be really, really good.
Yeah,
because,
it poops a lot.
Because they do make quite the mess.
And even their food's a little messy sometimes.
Yeah, and other than that, they're pretty bulletproof. I mean, vary the diet as much as possible. We feed Missouri crocodile chow. We feed chicken. We feed fish. We feed rodents.
Yeah.
We feed all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And they're really, I mean, they're very, very hardy animals. Yeah. I mean, they
survive winters in America.
You find them in crazy areas.
Yeah, these are animals that can live a couple hundred years. In the wild.
Dragons.
So again, like you said, from the southern part of this country, so it's not like they're exotic in the middle of the rainforest or something
that
like
need
that.
A lot of rain and stuff. Yeah. And then Scottish Rob says, telling you, man, LAX to Tahiti is an easy trip. By the way, the flight safety video for Air Tahiti Nui is hilarious. Their meals aren't half bad either.
Interesting. Yeah, they're the ones that he went to Bora Bora, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it was cool.
And then Rare Dog says, literally passing the Denver airport right now. Loving the stories tonight.
Awesome. I'm glad that you are. Debbie is awesome. She's
Love
great.
You, girl.
So. Yeah, enjoy the area.
That's it.
Great.
Yeah, it's good. So cool. Well, hey, listen, Chris, this has been amazing, man. It's been great to get to know you.
Stuff,
I hope that you guys enjoyed it in the audience, and I know I thoroughly enjoyed the time. You're always welcome here. So we're gonna end it, and we're gonna go see some animals. What do you say?
Yeah. Thanks everybody, and thanks for tuning in, and thank you, Brian, and thanks Jay.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
No, this is awesome, man. It's super dope. So hey, you guys have a great night. We'll see you on Wednesday.
Take care.
Good stuff, man. That was good.